Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by critiquing former players. I am one of your three co-hosts, Derek Kubicek, and today we are going to be looking at the post-merge of Season 33 of Survivor, Millennials versus Gen X. And it's the post-merge, nothing but the post-merge. We might reference the pre-merge, but spoiler-free for most of everything else in Survivor. I am joined today by my two fabulous co-hosts, Ryan Stacy and Josh Wessler. I think I know how you guys are doing tonight, but I'll ask anyway. How you doing tonight?
You know what? I'm pretty great. This season rules.
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Enjoyed watching through the finale. Enjoy talking about Survivor with you guys. So I'm excited to get into this. We have a holiday coming up, long weekend. You know, good vibes. Good vibes all around.
Good vibes all around. The only downside is it's hot as balls up here in North Dakota
And Minnesota.
Crazy. And Minnesota. So we have a fan blowing directly on us. For those of you who are watching the video version, that's why Derek's hair is blowing in the wind. I will do my best to edit the fan noise out again, so hopefully you won't hear it at all. But that's what's happening. It is brutally hot up here.
Yeah, logistically speaking, on Survivor we would deal with the heat, but I mean we're doing this for free.
They don't give you fans on Survivor. What?
No, but allegedly sunscreen, which that's cheating according to some people. It's fine.
You don't want to. We don't want to get cancer on Survivor.
We don't need any Jason shoulders from Quran.
Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Anyone who gets upset about that can,
but
get over it.
But this season is honestly unlike any others. I'm almost excited to get to the end of the recap of the post-merge so we can talk about where we feel this season belongs in our rank downs, the vibes we get from the season, how it makes us feel, if we recommend it, which will be once the spoiler section begins. I remembered this season very highly. Without getting into spoilers, it lives up to that reputation in my mind. More or less, I will save that until we get into the proper spoiler section of the podcast. So I am also excited to talk about the post-merge with everyone here today.
Yeah, it's interesting because there were a lot of things that I forgot about. Not because it's more so just because the only time I watched this season was when I was watching it live. So just because it's been, 10 years since this season came out, you forget about things until they come up and it's like, oh, that's right. Like, this was just such a great either strategic moment, human moment, twist in the game, any of that stuff. It was really cool to be able to experience that again. So excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and this one was kind of a very important season for me. So this was the first season that came out after I graduated from college. Josh, same for you.
Yeah, I was in grad school.
So I just graduated college, and as kind of a graduation present, I bought myself The Evolution of Strategy from Rob Has a Podcast, Rob and Josh Wigler. I just wanted to listen to it. I listened to the Borneo season. I liked it. I'm like, cool, this is my graduation present to myself. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to listen to it. And I loved it. And that's when I really got into like Rob Has a Podcast and really, really sank my teeth into all the Survivor stuff. Like, I've been on the Survivor subreddit and read some blogs, starting with like Blood versus Water. But this is when I really got crazy about it, because I worked a security job where I was driving around a parking lot a lot. And so I had nothing but time. So I listened to like every podcast Rob had released from Heroes vs. Villains on. I listened to just about everything. So this is when like I hit like peak super fan mode. It was right before Millennials vs. Gen X. So this was my first season after ingesting all of this information. And it made this special for me. It was just like, wow, so many doors and windows had opened up.
Yeah, and now you guys are stuck consuming the afterbirth of a superfan.
Ew.
I didn't mean consuming like ingesting, but...
What was that?
When did that book come out?
The Evolution of Strategy? When did that come out? It was right before Kageon. It started.
Okay.
They started doing it. And it took them a couple years to release the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I was mostly asking because it seemed like coincidentally maybe it aligned with, the reason why you bought the book, but it really seemed like that was talked about more in this season, like at Final Tribal Council, more than any other season. It was talked about a lot.
I'm certain Zeke had listened to the Evolution of Strategy. He says it.
I was going to say Zeke directly references Evolution of Strategy. It harkens way back to I think season 3 of this podcast. I just said Evolution of Strategy, and Ryan looked at me. Have you consumed that? Did you listen to that? And I was like, what are you talking about? You're like, Evolution of Strategy. Rob Sesternino, Rob Has a Podcast. Any of this ringing a bell? And I'm like, nope, because I'm not allowed to learn about Survivor.
Yep.
I'm supposed to be doing all of this first time with our listeners.
So yeah, this is a really important season for me personally. I love it. So, the question is, there's a lot of Survivor out there. We're rewatching it, so you don't have to. We're here to tell you what is must-watch Survivor, what isn't, though you should watch it all. I'm going to answer for all of us. Millennials versus Gen X is absolutely must-watch Survivor. And you better agree with me on this one.
Well, and I was going to wait, but this is a good time, I think, to say this. I think that if you're talking to someone and they say, if I was only to watch one season of Survivor, if you're not going to recommend Borneo to try and get them kind of hooked on the concept, and they're only going to watch one, I think this is the one they should watch, because it's just got mostly those good feelings, and I don't think you can come away from this season feeling badly about it.
I would say this one or Cagayan. I think those are the big two.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
yes,
that makes sense.
It's must watch, and furthermore, if you're only going to watch one season,
only going to get one.
This gets Derek's stamp of approval as the one to watch.
And maybe it's just because we're so used to modern seasons now, but I'm curious to talk about maybe later whether or not this actually is kind of a pivot in the whole evolution of the game. If like this is a little bit of a turning point, or if it's just it's still just Survivor, and they the people on this cast want to try to push it into kind of that next stage in the Survivor life cycle, or if we've been there already, and the game's just starting to catch up a little bit.
I think they elevated here. There's a lot of super fans on the season, especially that make the merge. So they all really want to make their mark on the game. And honestly, I think like all of them do, except one. It's Taylor.
I think he left his mark on the game.
Yes, but not in a good way.
He left a mark on the season, but not on the game.
So, okay, let's get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, get out of here. We're going to spoil the rest of the season. So go watch this one. This one's amazing. It's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. We'll see if it ends up in the number 1 spot. All right. 3, 2, 1. Adam wins. There. We spoiled it for you.
There's the spoiler. And a very flawed winner he is.
One of the most flawed winners. One of my favorite winners. I think he may have the best story of any Survivor winner.
There's nothing that compares to his story, and I doubt there will ever be anything again, nor should there probably be. Yeah.
It's tragic.
It's a tragedy, but also it's poetry.
Yeah.
There's more to it. I don't think there's been anyone out there ever whose game meant as much to them as it did to Adam.
Yeah. It's a beautiful story to watch. It's very sad. I will go ahead and say I bawled my eyes out a couple times watching this season because it's very emotional. But yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think this was actually, I almost want to say it's the most enjoyable rewatch season so far, just because of how flawed Adam was. I don't remember him being this flawed of a winner, of a player at all, from when we first watched it, because you don't know that he's going to win. But now, you go through the entire pre-merge and early merge, and, you kind of see what his position is in the game and how he's playing. And it's not a great game overall, nope. Until it gets later into the post-merge and he just gets the positioning correct. So as far as rewatchability, I think this might be almost at the top of my list as far as just, learning new information from the game rather than just, entertainment value.
Well, let's go over this cast again. We're at the final 13. So coming in from the Millennial tribe, we have Michelle Schubert, a missionary recruiter from Yakima, Washington. Taylor Stocker, a snowboard instructor from Post Falls, Idaho. Zeke Smith, an asset manager from Brooklyn. Will Wall, a high school student from Long Valley, New Jersey. Jay Starrett, a real estate agent from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hannah Shapiro, a barista from West Hollywood. And Adam Klein, a homeless shelter manager from San Francisco. Coming in from Gen X, we have Chris Hammonds, a trial lawyer from Moore, Oklahoma. Jessica Lewis, an assistant district attorney from Voorheesville, New York. Sunday Berquist, a youth pastor from Otsego, Minnesota, rest in peace. Brett LaBelle, a police sergeant from Dedham, Massachusetts. David Wright, a television writer from Sherman Oaks, California, and Ken McNichol, a model from Denver. So that's our cast. Our winner picks. Let's check in with those. I had Zeke from the get-go. Still got Zeke.
I had Hannah. I would have swapped to, I believe, Zeke, but stuck with Hannah.
And I had Brett. Still Brett.
Still Brett. So we'll see how this goes for us. Not well, because none of us have Adam.
Yeah.
All right, should we jump into these episodes?
Let's jump in.
All right, episode 8, I'm the Kingpin. So last time Michaela got that epic blindside and Hannah was left out. So when they get back to camp, Hannah's like, guys, I would have been fine with Michaela going home. You could have told me. And so now she kind of suspects she's on the bottom of the Millennial Alliance and does not trust Jay. Jay, this is the risky run when you leave people out of the vote and you betray your alliance.
Right, and we all agreed that the Michaela vote didn't make a ton of sense for Jay. You can go ahead and clock that someone's being strategic, well, not necessarily needing to act on it right away. You're a part of her final four, and she doesn't really have anywhere else to go. Yeah. It's Michaela. She's a little brusque.
Yeah, we went over that last time.
So, Hannah, the point being, if you're going to do this, you should probably bring in Hannah.
Yeah, or don't do this.
Yeah, or don't do it. And if Hannah's going to talk you out of it, maybe it wasn't a good idea.
So we're going to go to the merge, and right away, Hannah, Zeke, and Adam get back together because they were kind of the outsiders in the Millennial tribe. And they're like, cool, let's turn on Jay. Us and the Gen Xers, Millennial Alliance is done. Let's take out Jay's group because we're not in with them. Jay, you did this to yourself.
Yeah, fair. This is, hey, you really want to make a move before the merge. No one cares about the pre-merge, unless it's the merge episode and you just betrayed a bunch of people's trust. People aren't going to remember that in Final Tribal Council. They're going to remember it now.
Yep. And then we cut to Brett. Brett's very worried about Jay and all of his allies. So it's like everyone is worried about this Cool Kids Quad Force alliance of Jay, Will, Taylor, and Michelle.
Right. And the Gen Xers know that the Gen Xers are far from whole.
Yep. They're very fractured.
So they can take care of themselves later. Let's get rid of this quad that really feels like a quad.
Yep. So Adam is going to find a one-and-done advantage. The reward steal advantage, which is not much of an advantage. Like, it's almost never useful. Unless you were on the bottom, and it doesn't matter. This is almost never useful. I get why we never do it again. I'd be fine if they brought it back, but it's not really an advantage.
This is a funny one.
I think the only way that this would be worth trying again is if you can use it as far as like if there's other rewards that are built into it, like advantages in a challenge maybe, but like not overpowered. Not all advantages can be stolen, but maybe like related to challenges. Just because when you use this, it's just going to be bad socially almost always.
The way it ends up getting played was totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't do Adam much good.
Yeah, well, and I'm thinking about it now. This is remarkably close to the hourglass if it gets used in a different way, because it was used during a combo immunity reward. Mm-hmm. But if it were used during a reward, it's kind of like, why did we run this challenge? Right. You could have just stolen it.
I'm trying to remember. Do we do any just regular reward challenge besides the loved one visit this season?
Not in the post-merge that I recall. Yeah, I know sometimes they don't always make air, but tread lightly if they bring this one back. I don't think I'd use it.
Yeah, probably don't use it.
Speaking of which, and I know we've said this on the rewinds before, but as much crap as we give, Survivor sometimes about throwing too many things into episodes, it does. I can appreciate it a little bit more just because it starts to get a little formulaic as far as like, oh, go in and reward challenge, okay, immunity challenge, and it's just kind of like copy paste each and every episode.
Yeah, they just
just kind of seems noticeable.
They just need to recognize when stuff doesn't work. That's the problem. It's what Survivor has sometimes. Taylor's gonna steal some food because he's really good with mason jars, bro. What does that mean?
Clink, clank, clank, clink, clink.
How are you good with mason jars? What does that mean? But he's going to steal some food and hide it and bury it. And both Brett and Adam see him do this. Brett's going to go back to sleep and deal with that later. But Adam is going to go talk to Taylor and try and make peace with him. Because Adam voted out Taylor's girlfriend, Figgy. So Adam's like, this is the perfect time to be making my bestie again. I'm going to tell him way too much information for someone who wants to destroy me. He's trying to turn Taylor against Jay and Will, his two closest allies. And basically wants to target Will. And he's like, and that way Jay has nowhere to go but to you, bro. He also tells Taylor about the reward steal. And Taylor's just like sitting there eating food out of a mason jar and just soaking in all this information as Adam royally screws up. And he's like, oh, this was great. I'm still going to vote out Adam.
This was just dumb. Regardless of how much information that Adam gives up here, like that's bad. This is a pretty severed relationship at this point. But also, if you saw and heard Taylor taking this food and leaving, you're probably not the only one who heard that. And it is just way too dangerous to be sitting with him as he's eating stolen food. Someone could walk up on you, and even if you're not eating it with him, you're still sitting next to him and you have the knowledge of what he's doing. And it's not going to be a good look if someone else comes and walks up on you. This is a completely unnecessary risk that Adam's taking.
This is exactly kind of what happened to Alina and Nayanka in Nicaragua. Nayanka stole the food and Alina went and hung out with her, and she got taken out guilty by association.
Right. And I'm trying to remember, is this the moment on the beach when Adam is talking to Taylor? I royally screwed you. If I were you, I would be so pissed at me. This is what I think is particularly unique about Adam's game, and Adam's personality. We talk all the time about those players who are trying to be honest and full of integrity. We have one this season.
Yep.
We've got Ken. In season 48, we had Joe. We've had all of these players in the past, right? Adam might be the first person on screen to have an honest and mischievous game. And he's going to tell you, yeah, this is why you should hate me, and this is why I don't care, and this is why I'm gonna gun for you anyway. He's very open and honest, and that doesn't make him a bigger nor smaller target. He's
just straightforward. He's a straight shooter.
And I don't know that this works on every cast.
No.
I think that in a lot of seasons, this would get him voted out as the bomb to defuse. Like, dude, why are you saying the quiet part out loud? But Adam is like, no, I'm gonna make my whole game saying the quiet part out loud. I kind of like it for him. But sneaking off and kind of participating in the food thing, bad for him. Yep. He should have probably thrown Taylor under the bus to everybody else.
Yes. So Brett is going to rally all the Gen Xers against Taylor because he tells them Taylor was stealing food. They're all on board, and they decide Taylor or Jay is going to be the first one out. Split those guys up. Taylor's going to rat out Adam to Jay about everything that happened. And Zeke is going to overhear their conversation and report back. Maybe, yeah, he's got to be careful where you have your conversations.
Taylor, subtlety is not an associative word with him.
Taylor's going to tell Will that Adam is targeting him, so Will is rightfully terrified. So we're going to go to the immunity challenge, and Will wins it. Good for him. Good for him. He needed it.
Weird. How did he know that he needed it?
So Jay's group wants to target Adam because he's a wild card who's talking a little too much right now. Michelle does not like this plan. And we talked in the pre-merge how Michelle's kind of a control freak, but this is the first time she's going to step back and let other people play. Michelle's going home first here. So I think if Michelle were played again, she'd be even more of a control freak and it'd be kind of funny.
She'd learn the wrong lesson.
Yeah. She didn't lose the game here because she didn't take charge. That had nothing to do with it. She was just the safest vote. Everyone is worried Jay has an idol. He does. He might play it on Taylor. He might. So Michelle it is.
Good move. Good idea. Good thought.
Logic is sound.
I forget why they suspect that Jay may have an idol.
Jay's a sneaky sneak.
Right, because I always wonder as an audience member, why do they suspect Jay might have an idol? And so therefore they're going to vote for Michelle. That has to be just a feeling that you get being on the beach, and we almost have to trust that. Maybe Michelle's not looking for idols.
Maybe someone's checked his bag and thought they saw something.
Sure.
Adam learns that he is being targeted. So what does he do? He goes back to the person who blew up his spot to try and make peace with him again. Adam, have you ever heard what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. No, all this does is make people paranoid because they see Adam talking to Taylor. Like, what does he have to talk to Taylor about? And it gets to the point, Hannah has to tell Adam to chill out. And Hannah and Zeke are like, should we just get rid of Adam? He's driving us nuts. The winner of Survivor Millennials versus Gen X, everybody.
The fact that Hannah is the one talking Survivor winner, Adam Klein, off of the paranoid edge. And, that's with all respect to Hannah. She's my winner pick for a reason, and I love her on this season.
She's great.
But if she's talking you off the ledge, that's a problem.
We're going to go to Tribal Council. Brett is going to call out Taylor for stealing food. Taylor just laughs it off, which, not great. Not a good look.
Terrible, I would even say.
Jeff says that's a millennial stereotype.
And it's like, I'm offended by that.
I'm offended.
There's a couple times Sunday, is that a millennial thing? I'm like, no, it's not. Taylor's just a douche.
Yeah, it's kind of a douchebag stereotype, but not every millennial is a douchebag. Most of us, but
maybe everyone on this podcast. But...
Fair. I might be a douchebag, but I'm not going to steal the food.
Yeah, no. So it's going to end up going to be 9 votes for Michelle, 4 votes for Adam. This is a really good move, I think, especially for the Gen X group. Basically, we've talked about this. When you get into the merge, you want to just get through it, but ideally, you want to get rid of someone you've never been on a tribe with. just because you have nothing there. So this is especially great for Brett, Sunday, Jessica, and Ken because they just met her. So, but yeah, I really like this move.
It worked out for the group that wanted to break up the quad. I'm good with anything, and if they deemed that Jay was too risky and they wanted to have greater numbers before trying to target him with a split, I'm satisfied. I'm not so worried about the interrelationships at this point, but that is something that is worth thinking about if you're a player.
Yeah, and I think this is great I think they've even been referred to as like the nerd alliance within the Millennials tribe, just because Jay kind of backstabbed them a little bit, or went a little rogue at least. So it's perfectly fine, I think, for them to kind of separate themselves from the group of 4 of the cool kids and just kind of show like, hey, the Millennials aren't all together. We can play this game very openly now.
Best worst player of the episode. Derek, start us off. Who is your best player?
Sorry, I'm pausing for a second. Sarah is being a creep at Family Wellness. Josh Duhamel is there right now.
Oh my God.
He's just there working out right now. And she's like, I'm kind of being a creep. So, sorry.
Do we want to put that in the podcast? It's kind of funny.
You can leave it in there if you want.
Breaking news, everybody. Derek's wife has just run into Josh Duhamel at the gym. North Dakota zone, it makes sense. You know, he's here sometimes. That's really funny.
So maybe he's just there on a day pass, just passing through her. I don't know if he lives in Fargo. He got married here. He might.
Yeah, he got married. Like, I know he partied at the bar right next to where I work.
Yeah.
And, like, hurt his back, like, the night before his wedding or something like that.
So, anyway, sorry.
There's our Josh Duhamel gossip.
Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, best player for episode 8. I had Zeke, but really it's everybody except Adam that was in the bigger voting group, and that's because Adam did a couple things this episode that I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't necessarily recommend everyone to play like him. But ultimately, what they wanted to have happened, and I think that for Zeke, it was the best, because he's integrated with the Gen Xers, he's in a decent position of power amongst Hannah and Adam, and like with the fewest demerits against him in that one, he's in a great, flexible position going forward.
Josh?
Yeah, I think it should be Zeke. He also is the one who overheard that conversation that was happening in the woods that kind of like put up the red flags with everything. So just another notch his way.
I went with Brett, but I did give an honorable mention to both Zeke and Hannah. But the reason why I went with Brett is because, he rallied the Gen X troops against Taylor and Jay, and they took out Michelle. He has never met Michelle, so I think this is better for him than Hannah and Zeke. More so Hannah, because Hannah and Michelle did have a relationship. Zeke, not so much. But that was kind of my tiebreaker, so my best is Brett. How about worst player, Josh?
I had Taylor. Wanted to give it to Adam, but I'm going to go with Taylor just because it's just stupid. It's just absolute ridiculousness. Don't steal the food. Don't get caught stealing the food. Don't laugh about getting caught stealing the food and have just no regard to how people might feel about that when you're just at tribal council and you're just laughing in people's faces. This is the moment, up until now, Taylor had a chance to win this game. It wasn't his choice, but ties were severed with for Figtails. He could be a new man in the Postmerge and play his own game.
I mean, he is.
And this is his game.
Yep.
So we're seeing what his game looks like. Taylor officially cannot win this game.
Strongest possible dishonorable mention to Adam, but Taylor exists.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where Adam try as you may, try as you might. There was no way you could be as bad at Survivor as Taylor. So it's Taylor.
All right, episode 9, still throwing punches. So Adam and Taylor talk, and it's kind of mutually assured destruction at this point, because people know Taylor was stealing food. They don't know he buried like a stockpile. So Adam agrees to keep Taylor's secret, and Taylor agrees to keep Adam's secret about the reward steal. Some mutually assured destruction, kind of.
Which is interesting because we just came off of Taylor, again, laughing in people's faces about stealing the food. He doesn't care. He said he's hungry, whatever. So why would he care if people know that he stashed away food?
He's got a lot. It's a lot of food.
The proposal for you guys. Adam should say, hey, I caught Taylor having a stockpile of food, blah, 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 blah. But do that like the day after you say, guys, I found an advantage today. It's a reward steal. And then burn it in front of them.
Yeah. Or don't tell anybody about it from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we can't rewind.
Yeah, we can't rewind.
We can't rewind. We drop me in the moment, and it's like, I still want to kind of out Taylor for this.
Yeah.
It's not a secret worth keeping if you're Adam, and it's not a fair trade. I don't think.
Jay's going to try and get back in with Hannah. He tells her he's proud of her for making that move. And it's kind of the reversal of what we saw in the last episode. Hannah said, Jay, include me next time. And Jay's like, Hannah, include me next time. I thought that was very funny. I love Jay. Jay is so good in this season. He's such a great character.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay's going to try talking to Adam next. And this is where Adam gets himself in a little bit more trouble because he's so straightforward. He comes off as arrogant. Jay's kind of hurt by what he says. And I don't think Adam's trying to be hurtful. He's just very straightforward. He's very blunt. So Jay leaves their talk, and he goes and talks a ton of crap about Adam to Will, Hannah, and Zeke, who are all already pissed off at him from the last episode. So Adam's grave keeps getting dug deeper and deeper. Adam, no chance of winning the game, right?
See, yeah. I didn't take it as that. I took it very much as Jay not appreciating the reality of the situation, because Adam is not fully grasping that by telling someone that you can't work with them and that it's going to be a head-to-head battle for the rest of the game. That's $1 million on the line.
I don't agree, because Jay told us it in confessional how he felt about it, and I treat confessionals as canon.
Well, confessionals may be canon, but we saw throughout the post-merge that Jay doesn't exactly like that Adam is so against him, and it really does feel more on Adam's side than Jay's side.
But this is the first time we get that, and so Jay is hurt.
Sure. Well, and that's why
he goes and talks crap.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's not good for Adam to be doing this. He needs to be aware. If I wasn't clear about that...
Yeah, you weren't clear about that.
Josh, was I clear about that? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Because I'm saying that Adam needs to be aware that this is not working for Jay. And then Jay, I think, needs to take it better. But he's using it as ammo to try and get back in.
This is one of the things that I would be worried about myself just in the game, because a lot of times it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. Adam is saying, in theory, Adam is saying like a lot of the right things, but just his tone and, just the way that he phrases certain things to like certain people, you need to talk to different people differently. You can't talk to Hannah the same way that you talk to Ken. So I would be worried about myself not being able to say the right things to the right people, and then having them just go around and just talk behind my back about, the way that I phrased and me being either too blunt or, whatever it might be.
Yeah, that would also be something I would get into trouble with, because I guys, you might not know this about me, but I can be a little blunt sometimes.
You got a little Randy Bailey in ya?
Good luck.
But yeah, so, every season I like, especially after the merge episode, I like to do my the Ryan's rank downs. I like to rank everybody from most likely to win to least likely to win. And this time, because Adam is such a bad first 2 episodes in the merge, he's in the rank downs. He's obviously very close to the bottom of that. And I'm like, but he wins. So, there's definitely is room to change that. And then I checked it every episode, so I was constantly rearranging stuff this season. I think I have like a general best to worst that I eventually figured out overall. But at this point, Adam is very near the bottom. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I'll explain it to you guys, because there's some secret info you guys might not know. But we'll get into that when it becomes relevant. Sunday wants to take out Jessica next, because they've had this feud since the original Gen X tribe, where Sunday tried to take out Jessica. And David played the idol on her. So she wants to get Jessica before Jessica gets her. That's just like somebody's going to make that first, take that shot. And so she's got a very close relationship with Jay. So she talks to him about trying to make this happen. So that could happen. Immunity challenge. You can sit out for food and beer. But if you sit out, you only get pop. No beer for you, Will. Even though, so this is actually kind of interesting. So if Will was on vacation in Fiji, he was legally allowed to drink. 18-year-olds are allowed to drink in Fiji. But because this is an American production that to follow American laws, so Will was legally not allowed to drink.
Ah, that is fascinating.
Yeah, because what is he technically, like an employee of CBS or something?
Contractor, I don't know what it would be, but it's an American company and American production, so they can't have booze.
And if you think about it, he would be an 18-year-old being broadcast on national television, free television, by the way, consuming something that he's not supposed to be consuming at that age. So it makes sense to me. It
makes sense, CBS, they want to, keep it family-friendly kind of stuff, but, we all went to Mexico and we were not 21.
Hey, that was fine. That's neither here nor there.
It wasn't on national television.
No.
But Will and Zeke are both going to sit out for food. And I know Will said he thinks he has no shot at winning this challenge, but Will, you were very clearly on the bottom. I don't sit out if I'm Will.
It feels like it might be more Jay because he's associated with Jay and he's in that group at the bottom. I think you have to try. That said, the older I get, the more I give leeway to there's absolutely no chance I'm winning. And if that's him, if this is like the Malcolm challenge, the Malcolm Memorial challenge for you, I'll give him a pass.
I think I would still do it. Let's say this was the Malcolm Memorial Challenge with the steady hands. I have a 0% chance of winning that challenge. If I'm on the bottom, I'm still doing it. Because I'm like, this is it. If I could go home here, so I'm going to, Hail Mary this thing.
Here's the other thing. Like, if you're on the top, I still do it. I think it's a weird in between where it's like, I'm solidly in the middle. Okay, maybe I sit out.
I'm solidly in the middle and I have no chance at winning this challenge.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the only time you can sit out. Zeke, I think it's fine.
Because sitting out at the top is the coconut chop. Don't do that.
Arrogant.
Ken is going to win immunity. So the majority decides to split the votes between Jay and Taylor. Sunday realizes she can't make the Jessica vote happen here, so she goes and lets Jay know that the Jessica vote will not be happening. So Taylor and Jay, they know this is it for their bromance, so they're going to go have a last supper. Taylor's going to take him to the stash, and they're going to pig out. Taylor's tells Jay about Adam's reward steal at this point, and Jay encourages hey, you should blow up his spot, man. You should cause a bunch of chaos and blow up Adam's spot. I love this from Jay. Yeah, do it, Taylor. It's like you're just being a bad influence on your friend and trying to get them to do something stupid, but you're not doing the stupid thing.
Yeah, be aware of who you're telling this to, because as we'll see, you might be implicated a little bit.
Yep. This backfires a little bit, but I like the attempt from Jay. So we're gonna go to tribal council, and this is just awesome, especially because Taylor's going home here, and who cares about Taylor? But he causes some fireworks on his way out. It's like, thank you, Taylor, you brought something.
Don't call him a nothing.
So he's gonna tell everyone that he stole and hid food. We're gonna start there.
That Adam did.
Well, no, that's where he starts with himself and hid and buried food, and then Adam helped him. Then he accidentally let slip that he and Jay ate it all. And Jay's just like, oh, man, why'd you say my name, dude?
Yeah, because they're like, oh, is there any left? Oh, no, Jay and I ate it all.
But there was some left.
Which was not true, but, he just kind of, let that slip as just, trying to defend himself.
Poor Jay. He did eat the food, though, so he kind of got what he deserved. But he says Adam ate some and helped steal it. Adam denies that. He didn't help. He didn't eat any. He knew about it, but he didn't do anything to cause it. And then Adam's advantage is revealed as well. And it's really funny because Jay's going to try and take the moral high road. Like, oh, I would never do this kind of thing. And Adam's like, you ate the food, Jay. I didn't eat the food. Taylor just said you ate the food. It's so funny. The whole thing, it's just a disaster for all three of these guys. And it's just hilarious.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be either. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but Adam has to stay calm here, and he doesn't. He gets super defensive, which makes you seem a little guilty, even if you are completely innocent. He just has to stay super calm and basically say, I sat with him. Obviously, he's going to say as much as he can because he's going home, or because he's worried about going home. So he's going to throw any lies and really just try to focus in on Taylor telling these lies just to try to keep people's trust with you, and not, even if it's one or two people who start to doubt Adam because, maybe he actually did steal the food. Adam just needs to stay as calm as possible here, and he didn't.
Yeah. Jay does not play as idle. 7 votes for Taylor, 4 votes for Jay, 1 vote for Adam. Smart move on Jay. Jay votes for Taylor. Will voted for Jay, but Taylor voted for Adam. I think, I like the idol split, but this should have been Jay. I know you want to get Taylor out for stealing food, but Jay is a way bigger threat than Taylor. So I think this should have been Jay here. Or at least, and then Jay plays his idol and then maybe Taylor goes home. But I think Jay should have been the key target here.
So the reason I don't mind it being Taylor as more of a sure thing to whittle down the numbers on that alliance a little more is because the Gen Xers know that there's still a fracture coming. Sunday was targeting Jessica this episode. It didn't pan out, so they want to make sure that when things don't blow up, that neither side has a huge cohort to appeal to on the other side. So it's like, hey, we're just delaying our issues another episode. So I don't mind taking more of the sure thing while also continuing to defang who I consider to be the Cool Kids Alliance, in this case Jay as the figurehead. So I don't mind.
If you really think that he has an idol, then you should have more votes on him. Now, if it's an even split and you're going to have it be have a tiebreaker, well, then that's your fault if, Jay is smarter than Taylor and puts a vote on Taylor but tells he
Alex and Mookie and Fiji.
Yeah, he probably told Taylor to vote for Adam,
Yeah.
knowing this beforehand because Jay's actually a good player and he
Yep.
knows the game. Whereas Taylor's just, along for the ride, being in showmances and stealing food.
Yeah, bro.
And maybe Sunday and Brett, they trust Jay more.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened, but I still think it should have been Jay. So, best and worst player, for best, there wasn't much good gameplay in this episode. So I kind of went default. I'm going to give it to Ken. The vote was fine for him, I guess, and he won immunity.
So I went in a slightly different direction. I also had a hard time picking a best. I went with Sunday, mostly because I like that she has this plan to go against Jessica because she can't trust her, but she was willing to back off of it when she realized it wasn't a good idea, and again was able to keep some semblance of a group together. And I think that keeping Jay around was better for her and Brett than it was for the other Gen Xers and maybe even Zeke and Adam and Hannah. So the fact that they got to keep somebody that they trust, that they've built trust with, who saved them before, is good for them. I can see your point, Ryan, but I think ultimately, if we're splitting hairs, that is better for Brett and Sunday, and I'm going to give it to Sunday.
I'm going to give it to Jay. He didn't really have a bad move other than I guess he ate the food, but Taylor brought him over there and then he just kind of had a moment with Taylor and got a lot of information in that process. So I'm not even going to consider that a bad thing for Jay. It's not his fault that Taylor just tossed out his name saying that they ate all the food. That's not a bad move on Jay's part. That's just Taylor being Taylor. But I really, really liked how he knew to put the vote on Taylor, knew to, have Taylor vote for someone else, and then an absolute masterclass of throwing Adam under the bus. Taylor was doing a good job, but Jay just actually pushed it across the finish line. He pushed the bus across the finish line over Adam and just did so incredibly effectively and didn't play his idol.
Worst player, Derek, who you got?
So I actually gave my worst remaining to Jay because Taylor was his closest ally. He ate the food. He egged on Taylor a little too hard in a way that he ended up catching some blowback. Sunday, who was scheming with him, ended up not feeling safe enough with the situation to where she kind of had to go back on that conversation with Jay. So while he did hold on to his idol, he's very quickly becoming the free agent underdog story where there's no way this large group of people are ever going to let you make it to the end. So he's running out of options pretty quick. He can still win, but his margin of victory is shrinking.
Respectfully disagree.
I get it. These are my notes.
He has a lot of maneuverability here. There's a lot of big threats in this game, and when you still have another ally in Will, the two of you can still make things happen. But that's your decision. My worst, I'm giving it to Adam. So kind of the flip side of me giving a lot of credit to Jay because of how well he handled Tribal Council and throwing Adam under the bus. Adam just completely imploded here just by having a little bit of pressure on him. It did not take much at all, and Adam got super defensive. He looked really guilty, even though he wasn't. If I was at Tribal Council, I wouldn't change my vote, but I would definitely remember this going forward. And it was just, he didn't really need to be put in that type of position. You have to be ready for people to say anything at Tribal Council, and it didn't really seem like Adam was ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Adam did some good stuff during the rest of the episode. Jay and Adam, I both thought had kind of mixed episodes. They did good stuff and bad stuff, but I think a lot of the best stuff was just Taylor lighting them on fire with a Molotov on his way out. So I ended up not going with either of them. I gave mine to Will. I don't like that he sat out of the challenge. He loses an ally, and here's where I want to get into Ryan's rank downs because I think it's important at this point. Will lost one of the only people he stood a chance again, and here's why. It turns out the Gen X group, for the most part, had a pact. They were not ever going to give Will the money because they thought it would ruin his life. So Will had a 0% chance of winning this game. It's never addressed in the show, but all the Gen Xers and I think a couple of the Millennials, I think like Zeke and Hannah were on board. Will was never winning. Even if he played the best game, Will was not going to win. They were not going to give him the money because they thought it would ruin his life. So maybe if we get a surprise final two between Will and Taylor, maybe Will can win. But Will was not winning this game at any point. And it sucks for Will because he didn't know that, but he wasn't winning.
It's hard to hear that because I think if you played the best game, generally you deserve it. Especially in a group of talented super fans on the whole, if you're going to let an 18-year-old outplay you all the way to the end, you got to be careful. And I'm not trying to down talk 18-year-olds. We have a lot of 18-year-old listeners. I'm just saying it's it would be a feat that I would deem worth rewarding. They have a point.
They absolutely have a point.
They have a point. There's a reason that you see so many child stars fall to the wayside once they have that money in their pocket and it's available to them. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So, I like to focus, who are my 3 least likely to win people? And that's kind of like the 3 who should be working together. Will is one of those people, it turns out. And I think it moves around a little bit. I think Adam, Ken, and Taylor, and even Hannah are all in that point somewhere along the line. So my general ranking from most likely to win to least likely to win if they get to the end is Jay, David, Zeke, Chris, Sunday, Brett, Adam, Hannah, Jessica, Ken, Will, Taylor. So that's my 12.
I don't have many gripes with that.
But yeah, that's the surprise. Is Will is one of those bottom 3 because they weren't going to give him money. No 18-year-old was getting the money from the Gen Xers.
Who's the next youngest player?
Like what on the season?
On the season, mostly because what's the gap? Where do you draw the line if you're going to make a big deal? Like, I get that he's in high school and he's 18 years old, but
maybe
what about
high school and college.
A 20-year-old.
Maybe high school and college is the gap. A high schooler should not have $1 million.
Maybe if you're a college student with student debt, they'll let you win. But if you're a college student and it's getting paid for, they're not going to let you in. I don't know.
All I'm saying is I was pretty stupid at 20 years old. And I don't know if having $1 million in the long term would have been great for old Josh.
So the next youngest of the merge people, 24, it's a tie, Taylor and Hannah.
Okay.
24 years old.
So 6-year gap.
That's a pretty sizable gap.
Yeah.
So I love that inside baseball, but I actually wrote down a question that I wanted to ask you guys after this particular episode, because we saw Adam join Taylor on the beach and kind of like buddy up to him with this secret. I'm not going to rat you out about the food. You're not going to rat about my reward. Look at that. We've got secrets. But more interestingly, Jay was kind of brought into this situation by Taylor, and it's sort of a guilty by association like you meant, Ryan. If there's someone on Survivor and they're a little mischievous and a bad player like Taylor, but you're allied with them and they try to bring you in on this secret that can blow up your game, what do you do in the moment as they're walking you to the stash of food? How do you deal with that? Because if you piss them off and like go and rat them out and they find out about it, you lose their vote probably forever. They might try to blow up your game anyway. Like
that's tough.
I think you go with them and, do just kind of what Adam was trying to do, and you kind of just sit there, hear him out, and if you wanted, take a couple of things just to kind of bro out and keep that relationship going, sure. You don't need to, finish off the jar or something and
Sure.
gourd yourself with all this food. I think that you can kind of have it both ways a little bit. I don't think either way you're going to prevent the potential blow up from Taylor. If he's going to blow up, he's going to blow up. So just try to keep that relationship.
The correct answer is don't align with yourself with someone who's stupid enough to steal food.
That's kind of where I felt too, but sometimes you never know. Yeah. You never know.
Episode 10, $1 million gamble. Adam and Jay, they're both kind of pariahs right now. They got to get back into people's good graces. Adam's going to apologize for not telling people about his advantage, and Jay's going to bring back the food. Will decides to abandon Jay and save himself. Abandon ship. So he's going to tell Zeke about Jay's idol, and the word spreads to everybody. Everybody knows about Jay's idol now.
You can't tell anybody.
Everyone.
Master of Whispers. Once 8 people know, that's just information.
Yep. But good for Will. You got to do what you got to do to survive at this point. Zeke and Chris, they want to make a plan to make Jay think he's the target. He plays his idol, but they take out Jessica instead because Chris wants to pull the trigger on this Jessica vote, get her out of here before she can cause any more trouble. Reward challenge. So there is 11 people left at this point. 2 teams of 5. One person's going to sit out. David's going to volunteer to sit out because it's a water challenge. He doesn't want to slow anybody down and make them lose a reward. And everyone's like, no, David, draw the rock. It'll be fun. Let's do this, man. And everyone's really encouraging to him. And honestly, this is a great moment. I love this. Just it's kind of cutthroat, but everyone is still supporting each other through this game, and it's really nice. It's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah, you can get in trouble for talking yourself up as the hero.
Yep.
I don't think if you're on Survivor you want to pull this off if you're not someone who's like David, because I think they generally understand David and his insecurities, so this is something that's going to happen very naturally. But generally speaking, you don't have to try and kind of make a show of this. We see some things like this get construed as, oh, well, is this Survivor gameplay?
I thought it was kind of funny that the swimming portion was you gotta swim like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Like it was so short and
It
so
was not a
minuscule. Like
factor.
it was absolutely not a factor. Like David was like a couple feet behind them, and then they had to climb up something anyway. Like irrelevant.
David's group still lost, but it was not because of David. Team loss. Adam, Zeke, Hannah, Sunday, and Brett win. And so we're going to get some fun Brett and Zeke bonding over beer. They're drinking buddies. That's a great way to bond with someone. Don't get too drunk, but you know, if you got a drunk on your reward, drinking buddies is a great bond to make.
Mm-hmm. Just drink the beer slowly.
Yeah, just drink the beer slowly. They're going to get their letters from home, and Christ, anytime Adam talks about his mom, because as a reminder, his mom had stage 4 lung cancer, and it was very difficult for him to come out here, to make the choice to come out here and play with his mom so sick at home, and so he gets a letter from home, and it's just like anytime this gets brought up, it is just devastating to watch for me. I'm like I'm watching this at work, and I'm just trying not to cry in the office. Damn, dude.
Yeah, any of these scenes that came up every single time, it was rough. It was rough, especially knowing the story like after the fact too.
And I was going to say, tag on to that, if you've been watching Survivor from the beginning, you back to Survivor All-Star, Jenna left the game because her mom was dealing with cancer, and her mom died 8 days after she got home.
Yep.
So if Adam is here, he does not know how much time his mom has left. And she may pass while he's playing. So it's really hard, it's really emotional, and I don't want to say that now that I'm older it hits me more, but it kind of does.
I think so.
And that's not meant to, again, throw shade at anybody who's younger. It just, me personally, this hits me more this time around than it did last time.
Both my grandmas died from lung cancer, so this hits me really hard. Yeah, it's tough stuff. This is a really emotional stuff. It's an incredible story.
Yes.
But damn, man. Wow. David's gonna win immunity out of nowhere. David Wright wins immunity, which is pretty cool. Good for David. Chris, Brett, and Sunday, they want Jessica out. David, Ken, and Jessica, they want Chris out. So this is finally going to come to a head. The Gen X war is happening. Nobody is talking to Jay at all because they want him to play as idol. Adam has a close bond with Jessica and Ken, so he's going to side with them. Zeke, Hannah, and Will are kind of the swing votes now. We're going to go to Tribal Council, and Hannah is going to try and create a new term. And I remember listening to the podcast, Survivor Know-It-Alls, with Stephen Fishback and Rob Sesternino. And Steven was so annoyed at this because he came up with voting blocks, and now Hannah's going to come in and try and invent trust clusters, which is the same thing as voting blocks. And Fishback's like, get out of here with this. Not everyone gets to invent a new term, okay? Yeah, it's just voting blocks. That's all this is.
It felt very forced.
This is voting blocks with no more nor fewer steps. Nope. It's just voting blocks.
But we're going to get an excellent blindside here. Zeke and Will and Hannah, they're going to turn on Chris. We're going to end the Oklahoma Boys Alliance here. 7 votes for Chris, 4 votes for Jessica. I don't know why Zeke does this. I think Zeke caught a case of big move-itis because they have that close Oklahoma bond. Why did Zeke turn on Chris here? I don't like it. I think they probably should have taken out Jessica instead because they really don't know Jessica. They haven't been on a tribe with her. Zeke's going to lose a close ally. Hannah betrays Sunday and Brett here, which is going to happen quite a bit. Hannah betraying Sunday and Brett. I get why Adam does it, but I think this is a bad move for Zeke.
Isn't this in the background, or like in the background of all this? Isn't this where they're trying to also get Jay to play an idol?
Yep, they're trying to get Jay to play an idol. He doesn't, and then they betray Chris.
Like it's. I still don't know if it's the right move to, because, you know, they really want to flush this idol, but not have votes go on because, you know, there's other things going on. Jay catches on apparently at some point just because it's like, no one's talking to me. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just kind of going in blind here, and he just chooses not to play it. So, yeah, they're just kind of letting Jay go still, which is a choice. It's still a choice.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Ryan. Maybe there was enough pressure from Hannah and Adam to Zeke to make the move on Chris, so he felt like he was conforming.
This was Zeke's call.
But the episode presents it as Zeke's call, and that is really confusing. You don't vote out someone that you have a good bond with, especially someone that you weren't on the original tribe with.
You don't want to take Chris at the end because he's a big threat, but like this is too early to turn on Chris here. And Zeke's going to follow very shortly out the door, I think mostly because of this. So I think this is a game-ending move for Zeke.
I think I agree. Yeah, I tend to.
And this happens all the time where we peak too early. We go after big threats, and what was Chris out? He was number 11.
Yeah.
Come on, come on. This is how you get the biggest threats to go out 11th, 10th, ninth. And then okay, now it's a completely different game, and we're gonna have completely different big threats come up, and that's gonna happen to Zeke later. And it should have happened to David as well later. So they're really just too antsy to get going on this.
So for best and worst player, Josh, who do you got for best?
I had David here. He won immunity. Had someone in Chris who, they had a working relationship, but it just seemed like it never like fully clicked. It seemed like they were kind of always like, I'll work with you, but I'm not sure how much I can trust you type of situation. I do think much like Zeke, it probably would have been better for him to keep Chris around just to have, a bigger threat there. So the attention is off of him, but still good enough to where, Chris, is a threat that could come for you. So give it to David.
I'm going to go even further for David because the alternative is Jessica goes. Jessica owes David her life because David played the idol on her. So this is absolutely the right move for David. This is a great move. Great social game as well for David tonight.
Yeah, we talked about how this was kind of Zeke's call. I think it was David bonding with Zeke that may have done it.
Yeah.
They may end up in a few episodes from now being adversaries, but this is maybe where I think David's social game gives him the edge in that face-off right here. So I also had David.
Worst player, I'm going to give it to Hannah. It was really between Hannah and Zeke for me because I thought this was really bad for both of them. The one thing that the tiebreaker, because Zeke still has a very close working relationship with David, so there's something there for Zeke. Hannah doesn't know any of those people. David's group is David, Ken, and Jessica. She was never on a tribe with them. She was on a tribe with Brett and Sunday and had a good relationship with them. She's betrayed them again. So I think this is worse for Hannah. I think it's very bad for both of them, but I think it hurts Hannah's game more.
Yeah, so I didn't have Hannah. I had Hannah as a dishonorable mention, mostly because I see her being in a spot where she needs to make moves that she's a part of, at least in a block that's making power moves. So at the end, she has an argument that she controlled some of the game. I gave it to Brett because Zeke betrayed you, Chris, and Sunday for a reason. And it's because David was able to drive a wedge in there, or for some reason Zeke felt like he had to have big move-itis against your group. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but I know that Chris was Brett's number one, and if your group kind of loses the edge on what should have been a swing block for you, you did something socially that wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I was actually choosing between Brett and Sunday here, just because it seems like they're going to be in a tough spot as far as, another like really close alliance member. It was a complete toss-up, so I didn't have anyone confirmed yet, but I think what Derek is saying as far as, Brett losing Chris, who seems like his number one, I think is big enough to give it to him.
Yeah, I strongly disagree with both of you because Brett is not the reason Chris went home. This was Brett did what he was supposed to do. Zeke and Hannah made a bad move.
And that's why I'm not going to fight. I had a dishonorable mention to Hannah, so I'm okay with it.
I think it was more so just like, I get it. I get
you guys
it.
should change your minds, is what I'm saying.
No, I refuse.
I'm also refusing.
Well, okay, it's gonna be wrong. So this is a 2-part episode. So it was 2 hour it was a spectacle.
Yes.
We were eating good tonight because oh man, that was a great blindside on Chris. Little did we know what was about to happen next. One of the best episodes in all of Survivor.
Yeah, the title episode, $1 Million Gamble. It's like, huh? What is that, $1 million gamble? Taking out Chris?
Jay says it in the very first scene of the first part of the episode. He's like, didn't play my idol. That was $1 million gamble. You want to talk $1 million gamble?
Foreshadowing.
Oh, you can't write this stuff. So back at camp, Brent is going to handle this blindside amazing, and Buddy's back up to Zeke real fast. Basically, he says, I get it. Chris had to go at some point. I love the guy. He had to go at some point. I get it. No worries. Let's still work together. It's Brett, beautiful. That's exactly what you want to do when you get blindsided like that. Oh, I loved it. That's a master class on how to come back to camp after tribal does not go your way. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to keep working together. They're going to work together for the rest of the game as long as they're together. It's awesome.
Yeah, and this is going to be it progresses, but eventually gets to be a pretty tight bond.
Yeah. The next day, David's going to try the same thing with Brett and Sunday. He's going to try buddying up to them and try and get them over to his side. And I respect the attempt. You got to be quicker. Do it that night, I think, if they'll talk to you. David is going to try and paint Zeke as a huge threat and basically try and get Brett and Sunday on board to take out Zeke. I don't think this is a bad move necessarily for David. It's just that Brett and Sunday don't go along with it, and they immediately rat out David to Zeke.
Yeah, you have to be able to balance where the alliances stand now. I feel like he's still kind of thinking that these people are in the headspace of millennials versus Gen X, when there's been a lot of like commingling. We're all in the same tribe. We've had mixed rewards. People have, shared interests in, who they need to maybe take out in the game. A little short-sighted not to see that they might not just automatically go with you, and that they might have someone else who they might align a little bit better with.
Yeah, it's risky. I don't hate it, though, for David.
Now, I'm going to jump in because I think this is where he's talking to Brett and Sunday at the water well, isn't he?
Well, they're on the beach.
Wherever they are. I'm pretty sure what David is saying is, you know who's playing one of the best strategic games right now? It's Zeke.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like he's so much lobbying for their votes right now. He's just trying to say, Zeke just voted out Chris. He's playing a very good game within his voting block. Just keep an eye on it.
It's Inception, but very direct Inception.
It's direct Inception, but sometimes like that's the only way you can do it. Like, we all know we're playing a game.
We can't go into each other's dreams here.
Yeah.
But, if you just say like, man, they're playing a really good game, well, that might stick.
And that's why I like what David did. You said, I like what he's trying to go for here, but, maybe this isn't the moment.
It's risky.
I think this is the moment because they're coming after David anyway.
Well, no, I agree. I do think this is the moment. I'm just saying it is risky. And
okay.
It doesn't pay off.
Okay, yeah, and you're right. It does not pay off, but I like that David did this.
I disagree. I don't think that this is the right moment. He's correct in just like the timing of it, but I'm not going to say all, but like most people, I don't think that he was subtle enough with this. This was very much like, hey, I'm going to plant the seeds, but like, that I'm planting the seeds of this information, which is just as good as outright telling you, hey, we should take out Zeke next. So the subtlety is not there. He thinks that it is. You can tell the way that he's saying it. He thinks that he's being really smart with this, which actually happens. I noticed a couple of times in the post-merge with David, and just the way that he kind of suggests people, and I don't think that he does a very good job at it. But again, kind of like what I just said in the last episode, as far as, peaking a little bit too early. We're going after all these big threats. Okay, congratulations. You take out Zeke. You probably should be next after him. So you gotta be really careful about that.
Sure.
So timing wise, I get it because you have an idol and you want to take him out now, but we're at 10. We're at 10. I just did not like it.
Brett is going to tell Zeke that David's coming for him, and David is coming for Zeke, and Zeke is like, well, David has an idol, so we got to deal with that. And that immediately leaks to everybody as well.
Oh, David's coming for me? He has an idol. You know that, right?
So Zeke tells Adam and Hannah about David's plan and the idol. Hannah really likes Zeke, really likes David, wants to ride the middle somehow.
And she wants to do this the entire game, by the way.
We'll see how this works out for her. Reward challenge. So this is kind of the opposite of the last one. So you get to draw a rock, and you get to go on the reward. You don't get to compete. It's 3 teams of 3, and then one person sits out, and they automatically get to go. It's David. David sits out of the challenge and gets to go on reward, along with Brett, Sunday, and Zeke. And then we're going to get one of the best moments of the season where, David is off doing a confessional and Sunday's in the water. Brett is going to talk to Zeke. And so Zeke is a gay guy. Brett's going to be like, hey, you're not the only gay guy on this island. And Brett comes out to him.
You're not the only gay guy on this island.
Yep. And, Brett's this big Boston cop who not stereotypical at all. And it's just like this really great, powerful moment. Because Brett, he's not out and proud. It's kind of, he calls it the worst kept secret in the Boston Police Department. But, still technically a secret. He's only really told close people in his life. And it's just this really, really powerful moment between 2 generations and their different experiences that they've had. And this was great because I'd come out like less than a year before.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was not even a year. So watching this, it was just like, wow, because I related a lot to Brett in this moment. Because I'm not exactly stereotypically queer or whatever. I'm not really flamboyant or anything like that. And so I definitely related more to Brett. So this was a really powerful moment for me to watch personally.
And for me, I'm just like, I'm glad that Brett was able to do this when and how he wanted to do this. He had the control, and he's using it as a platform for those people who might not be so lucky in their coming out stories. And luckily, the Survivor community is a very supportive one about this. And if you're in the Survivor community and you're not supportive of it, we don't want you listening to the podcast.
Yes, get out of here.
So bye.
Bye.
We'll touch on this again very soon.
Yep.
So this is a very powerful moment. Let's not sell it short.
One of the most memorable moments of the season. This is going to be a nominee for the Postmerge. I'll just say that right now. It's one of the things that I definitely remembered 100% for sure from the first time watching this season. I also just loved Zeke's, I think he said it in confessional, but basically like, I don't have to worry about all this because of Brett's generation. Like, they paved the way. Like, this isn't even something that I had to think about. And it was just kind of, cool to see both sides of it from different generations. Because I think in the reunion show, Brett mentioned that he didn't come out until I think his 30s. Yeah, which that's a long time. That is a long time.
Yeah, and Brett served in the military when Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So he couldn't come out then. So yeah, there's a whole lot there, and it's really, really powerful stuff. One of the best moments of the season for sure. I love it. Hannah decides to flip on Zeke. She's done. She's had enough of him. He's kind of a little arrogant, a little condescending, trying to control the whole game, and Hannah's kind of had enough of this. So she tells David everything that Brett and Sunday spilled the beans, and everyone knows about his idol.
Subtlety, guys. Play the down low game.
So we can't get rid of Jay's idol either because Jay wins immunity. Smokes everybody, not even remotely close. So Zeke and Hannah are going to talk. And Zeke, he's trying to make a point. So he's like, would you agree that David is the biggest threat in the game? And Hannah cannot look him in the eye and is like, I'm trying to think. And Zeke's like, would you agree that David is a huge threat? Let me think. It's like, okay, so you are clearly turning on Zeke.
Oh, so it's me?
This is so painful.
It is hard.
Worst lie in Survivor? Like, worst?
I mean, there's always going to be for revenge, basically. But, like, this is up there in terms of, like, the cringe meter, man.
It's bad. It's real bad.
Because she doesn't lie. She just doesn't say anything. Her tongue gets caught in her throat.
Look,
it's like when I joke about lying, and it's just like, oh, did you do this? No.
Look, I want to play One Night a Werewolf with Hannah. I think it would go very well. Hannah, are you a werewolf?
And this sounds horrible because I'm not calling Hannah like a 3-year-old here, but like when I ask my 3-year-old, did you wash your hands after he goes to the bathroom, and he didn't, he just goes, no. Go wash your hands. Is David a big threat in the game? Tell me David's a big threat. We can all agree, right?
I don't know.
Lead a horse to water.
So Zeke is going to change the vote. He wants to take out Hannah now. He's like, okay, she's not with me. Let's just get rid of her. So he gets Brett, Sunday, Will, and Jay on board to make this move. They want to avoid David's idol. We'll just take out Hannah. Hannah's going to pull Adam to her side with David, Ken, and Jessica. Hannah believes she is now the target. Gee, I wonder why. So she's going to ask David to give her the idol. And David is fairly skeptical. Absolutely justified in being skeptical.
I mean, you see it how often once people share that information about the idol with you, it is so like quickly turned by that person as being like, I think I might need your idol tonight. It's like, I literally just told you about this. What are the odds? What are the odds that you actually need it? Or are you just paranoid and now you know that there is potential protection out there?
Yeah, seems convenient. She's right, but it seems convenient.
And she's kind of been a little bit of a paranoid person most of this game.
A little bit.
And by the way, it's bears mentioning, because this is going to come into effect. I'm thinking at this point, if you're switching the vote off of David to avoid his idol, because again, public information, can't deal with it, and you got to make it tomorrow if you're Zeke. Why are you switching it to Hannah, who's shown like a willingness to kind of gamify a little bit? Why don't you target someone like Ken? I think it does make a lot lot
Maybe they're worried David plays idol and Ken because they're really close.
It could be. But
that would never happen.
He would never play his idol on Ken. But I wanted to understand what their thought process was in zeroing in on Hannah. Maybe it is because
it might be personal.
It might be personal. It might be because Ken and David are more close. But from my seat, Hannah's more likely to flip on David in the future than Ken is. So why wasn't it discussed more? Maybe it was. We just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe, you just do a better job at keeping this under the radar.
Well,
Maybe
they do.
have we thought about that?
I mean, they did keep it under the radar. They do vote for Hannah, and Hannah does not get a plate on her. We're going to go to Tribal Council, and it gets heated because David is, it's very clear that this whole tribe is about to erupt. So Brett and Zeke kind of get personal about David's anxiety. It gets a little nasty, and Sunday kind of shuts it down. And she's basically wagging her finger in Brett's face like, hey, you be nice. Be nice, you
And
kids.
Is this also where Brett gets annoyed with Hannah saying trust clusters again?
Yep. He's just, I've had enough of this crap.
Which was, me as well. That he was saying exactly what I was saying. I'm just like, no, we're not making trust clusters happen. Stop it.
Yeah. Stop trying to make trust clusters happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, like you said, it gets really, really personal.
Yep.
You had mentioned earlier that Zeke can be a little arrogant and a little condescending. You see it come out. He's very carefully edited. I'm curious if there's more, but it comes out right here a little bit where it gets a little nasty, and David has to be like, "That's personal.
Yeah, well,
stop
you don't
it.
need to do personal attacks.
Stop
here.
it.
I didn't do personal attacks. You guys don't need to do personal attacks."
That's one of those moments. Like it feels like Stephanie LaGrossa. How much of this got edited out in her first season?
A good amount.
So I'm curious.
Generally speaking, a good amount. Like that's kind of the thing on Zeke. Like he's a good player, but he's pretty arrogant and he can be condescending. That's kind of the whole story on Zeke. But yeah, so there's a lot of whispering, and somebody says stick to the plan on Sunday's side. Sunday's team is like, well, we just got to stick to the plan. And Hannah, very, very sneaky. I do like this from her. She's like, wait, what's stick to the plan? What's the plan? And like trying to trick somebody into saying a name. Sunday knows exactly what she's doing and gives her the wrong name. It's like Ken. Like, obviously it's Ken. Ken's the plan. And so Hannah and Adam are both right there to hear Sunday say this. And this is such a great move from Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Not talked about nearly enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great move, but there's no reason why it should work. Like,
but it works.
It should be so obvious. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they fell for it.
Josh, it's the Chewbacca defense. This doesn't make sense. We're going to confuse everybody so that nobody knows what's going on, which is if someone's going to play an idol for defense, the best thing that you can hope for is that at least they didn't know what was going on.
It's kind of like in a Mario Party mini game. If you wanted to play really dirty, like there's like one where you have to like you're a goalie in a net, and you can go left or right to block the net. And as you're shooting on the goalie, you can shout left, and then you score right, and you kind of trick the goalie into going to the left. Somebody did this in Survivor Gabon against Ace and really messed them up. I don't remember who did it.
That's right.
Might have been Randy. It sounds like Randy. But yeah, you just say something and do the opposite. You can trick somebody's brain into doing the wrong thing.
It's always a better day when you can reference Survivor Season 17 Gabon.
Look, if I can reference Survivor Gabon and Mario Party in the same conversation, I'm doing good. So, we vote. Anyone want to play an idol? And Adam is going to tell David to play his idol on Ken because he overheard the name Ken. And that's Sunday's Trixie.
See, and it's almost key to like walk our audience through that. Like David got up, was walking, and it looked like he was going to play it on himself, maybe on Hannah, but then Adam stops him. They were whispering Ken over here. Now, I wonder if it was already his plan to play it on Ken. They'd already assessed like who they thought was most likely. Not every tribal is live. This one felt like it was swapped on the fly, where David was like, no matter what happens, I don't think it's me, and I want to build trust with Adam, so I'm going to listen to him. So I kind of think David does the right thing here publicly, but this was, I do think Sunday really did flip this.
Yeah, Sunday tricked him. It was great.
I'm so curious if his mind was changed here.
I think I remember him saying yes. I think he was going to play it on himself. But he plays it on Ken. It's 5 votes for Hannah, 5 votes for Zeke. Revote. So it's going to end up being 4 votes for Hannah, 4 votes for Zeke, deadlock, rock draw. Holy crap, we're going to rocks.
Let's pause here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have a ton of discussion.
Yeah, so like it's gonna end up deadlocking and going to rocks. Literally anybody should flip.
No, false.
I don't agree.
100% false.
I don't agree.
No, you are so wrong. It's not even funny. Here's what is happening. So a lot of people are gonna. Okay, so here's how the story ends. Jessica is going to draw the rock and go home. I wish they'd kept purple rocks for more cases. I really wish they had. But no, Jessica is going to draw the rock and go out of the game. And a lot of people could say, like, oh, clearly she should have flipped. Absolutely not. Jessica made 100% the right move here. Because Jessica had nowhere to go. Brett And Sunday wanted nothing to do with her, and they were going to take her out immediately. Jessica had nowhere to run. She has to stick with David and Ken's side. She has to go to rocks. She cannot flip. And now, she was the one who was most emotional about it and seemed the most likely to flip. She definitely didn't want to go to rocks. She probably wanted to go to rocks the least, but she can't. No, the person who should have flipped was Will. Will's been, like, screwed over by, like, just about everybody on the season. He should be the one to flip. And basically, he's going to say he thought for sure Jessica was flipping. That's why he didn't flip. Otherwise, he would have. If he knew Jessica wasn't going to flip, he was going to. Yeah, Will should have flipped. He has no business going to rocks for Zeke.
Well, and if that was his reasoning, that's a terrible reasoning. Don't rely on someone else to make the right decision. People are flawed. They can read situations incorrectly. So don't assume that someone is going to do something like that. Take it into your own hands and be the person to flip.
Now, everybody else I don't think should have flipped either, because they've already committed to this vote. They have shown their cards. Will's doesn't really matter because he doesn't really have a strong allegiance to anybody. Also, he can't win. So no, I think the only person who should flip is Will. Jay's got immunity. If Jay didn't have immunity, there's argument for him to flip, but he's got immunity. What does he care? Brett and Sunday, they can't go anywhere. Ken, Jessica, Ken's got the idol plate on it, but Jessica, David, and Adam, they have shown their cards. They've revealed who they went for. Adam sold out Sunday's group by saying Ken's name. He's already committed. Now, if you want to rewind the clock back and maybe one of them, like Adam, for example, if Adam sides with them from the get-go, well, we never get to this point, and it's a 6-4 vote. But no, the only person who should flip is Will.
I almost disagree completely. I agree with you that if Jessica is the only person who's like willing to flip, that she should not. So I will take that concession. Nobody on David's side, including Jessica, it should be a collective, should fall on the sword for Hannah. She's already proven to be wishy-washy, and this will elevate Zeke's threat level to where you can trust that Sunday and Brett are going to want to vote Zeke out too. This is not a death knell to anybody's game to flip on Hannah, who's already flipped once.
Yes, it is. And
she's unreliable.
Yes, it is. Because they will lose their numbers and they will get picked off because Brett and Sunday's group do not want to work with David, Ken, and Jessica.
In this cast, I simply do not believe that they will get picked off one by one.
100% they would.
There are fractures, as Hannah would say, trust clusters, but as Stephen Fishback would say, the voting blocks here are fluid enough to be able to make something happen. No. Zeke is not that in that deep with Brett and Sunday and Jay. And Will, certainly not. So I don't believe it. I understand why maybe the people on Zeke's side are willing to fall on the sword and should be. For this vote, nobody on David's side should be willing to fall on the sword for Hannah.
They have to.
Absolutely. I disagree.
They absolutely have to.
Now, Jessica can't be the only one to flip, but if she can vocally get multiples of them to flip, that's not going to axe the relationship with Adam either.
It's not going to axe the relationship with Adam, but they'll get picked off. Jessica, Ken, and David will get picked off.
In this situation with these voting blocks, my final stance is nobody should go to rocks for Hannah. I understand why the other side would go to rocks for Zeke. Will probably shouldn't. I like your point on that, but I still think Will has more of a point to go to rocks for Zeke than anyone has to go to rocks for Hannah.
Derek's 100% wrong.
I wouldn't say Derek's 100% wrong. Yeah, Will is the person who should have flipped, and we shouldn't have even gotten here in the first place. But I do think Derek has a point with Hannah flipping so often. Yeah, you have to look forward in the game as far as, we might get picked off. Okay, you also are going to be going through a rock draw and have a 50-50 shot at your side losing a person and then getting picked off anyways. So why not guarantee that you're not the one that's going home, and then these voting blocks can move in the future? This is, I think, too fluid of a game to say 100% for sure that you're just going to get picked off one by one.
And let's use results-oriented thinking for my cherry on the top of this Sunday. Jessica, on David's side, goes home. And who wins the war here? David's side. I understand that maybe in the moment is what you're arguing for, but clearly in this group of people, things were more fluid than you're giving it credit for.
I don't believe there are actually voting blocks this season. I think there was alliances. There were multiple alliances for sure, but I don't really buy it was alliances with a couple of people just on the outs like Jay and Will. So yeah, I don't buy the voting blocks thing at all. And yeah, I think everyone should have gone to rocks except Will. Will should have flipped. Everyone else was completely justified.
Listeners, weigh in on this one.
Yeah, let us know.
Should anyone have flipped? If so, who?
So, we're going to go to rocks. Jessica's going to get knocked out of the game. which is just devastating. I feel so bad for her because I really like Jessica. But at the time, I was kind of happy this happened because I really wanted to see the legacy advantage get passed along. It gets passed along to Ken. Hot damn. That's my note. Hot damn.
Intense. And you know what? For 8 people going to Rocks, like, if the right situation comes up, and I don't think this was the right one, to be clear, I've made my point on that. I'm going to Rocks if I feel my game is on the line with 8 people in the pool. I am very famous for, infamous amongst my co-hosts on this podcast that I'm willing to go to Rocks with much smaller numbers. If it's $1 million that hangs in the balance, Ryan is always calling me crazy for being willing to do that.
It depends.
And I understand him, but like, I'm way more willing to go to Rocks than almost anybody I think who talks about Survivor.
Yeah, it depends. Honestly, it depends. Best and worst player of the episode. For best, I have Sunday. I loved how she buddied up to David and Zeke and had the opportunity to have working relationships with both of them again. She tricked David's alliance by telling Hannah and Adam that Ken was the target. She was willing to go to Rocks, which I think was 100% the right call for her. I want to give honorable mentions to Brett, Zeke, and Jay. I think the nasty comments from Brett and Zeke bring them down out of the running for me, but I still think they both played really well. And then Jay saved himself. So honorable mentions to all of them, but Sunday is my best.
I don't have any bones to pick with Sunday. I had Sunday originally, but I swapped it to Zeke, and I'm also saying honorable mention to Hannah. I would make a strong argument that Hannah should be best, if not for her very horrible lie to Zeke, which takes her out of the running. But ultimately, I don't think anyone should be going to Rocks for her, and they do. That confuses and confounds me. Zeke, he got people to go to Rocks for him, and more to the point, he put himself in a position in the game where people felt like they had to go to Rocks for him and things would break his way. And I also feel that, again, people should have flipped on Hannah, and Will, although I see him being able to flip on Zeke, had less of a reason to than anyone on Hannah's side. So I'm giving Zeke the credit for getting himself immunity via rock draw, which has only happened 2 times in Survivor history. 3 if you count Marquesas, but that's a little different.
I would have done that if it wasn't for the nasty comments. That brought him out of it.
Yep.
I also had Zeke. Sunday's comment was great, but overall, it really seemed like Zeke, at least, neither of them got voted out, but it seemed like Zeke started to win a little bit of the war between him and David. It seemed like he had more informational power with him, and Brett and Sunday were more willing to go with him than with David. And I think that there's a lot of value in that. And then he had the bonding moment with Brett as well. And I guess I should say, and also the fact that people are willing to go to Rocks for him. Someone who is as big of a threat as him would be easy to flip on and just let go because, he can beat a lot of people in the end. So, Zeke.
All right, Derek, who do you got for worst player?
So this one, I had Brett. I know that they were on the winning side of everything, but I didn't like his particularly nasty comments as well, where he's freaking out on Hannah at Tribal. Otherwise, I feel like most of what happened was like, okay, if there's an argument to be made, it would be for either Ken or David not flipping on Hannah, or Adam not flipping on Hannah. That confuses me, but I'm not exactly sure what to do with that. You can tell I didn't have a strong one for this.
You gave Zeke best player and Brett worst player, and they both made the nasty comments. This doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you're focusing on the nasty comments. I didn't. When I was taking my notes on worst player, I was so focused on what happened on the best side that for worst, I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. I felt like Brett was a little more nasty, but at least Zeke had the strategic redemptions on his side. I am okay with swapping this to Ken or David or Adam.
Yeah, I know. Another point is the way Brett cozied back up to Zeke at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, I know he has that win. I understand he has that win, but it's how you finish, not how you start.
I don't like this pick. This is a bad pick.
So I'm going to swap this live after talking about it with you guys. I think I'm going to swap this to... I'm going to swap it to Ken. Nope, David. I'm going to swap it to David. I'm having a hard time, guys.
All right, we're going to ignore Derek, and Josh and I are going to give an argument.
David, because he played his idol wrong. He was swayed by Sunday and or by Adam, and he should not go to Rocks for Hannah. So it's David. I'm marking it down, and that's my final decision.
Congrats.
Josh, give us yours, please.
So I wanted to jump in earlier too, but I decided not to because I think Derek was wrong with his best player of the episode because he gave it to Hannah, and Hannah's my worst player.
I gave it to Zeke. I gave an honorable mention to Hannah, just so you know.
Okay.
But
fine.
anyway.
Well, Hannah was my worst player of the episode. I did give a dishonorable mention to Brett for the comments. I do think that his comments were worse than Zeke's. Brett seemed to just like really be jumping in to the point that Sunday kind of had to like tell him to chill.
They were both pretty bad.
I'm not saying that they weren't. I'm just saying that it seemed like Brett's was worse. Anyways, Hannah was just really bad this episode. Yeah, people went to rocks for her, but like Ryan is saying, it's possible that it was more in people's self-interest than, defending Hannah and trying to keep Hannah in the game. I don't think that decision that people made was to keep Hannah in the game at all. And then she had the really terrible lie. She had the really terrible lie, and this shouldn't have even gotten to the point of rocks if she was better at lying. So, it could have been, we could have had the war between Zeke and David, but instead we got Jessica going home out of nowhere. So it's Hannah's fault. So Hannah's the worst.
Mine's Will. Should have flipped. Didn't. That simple. Episode 11, about to have a rumble. So Jay and Will, this is so funny. I love this. So Jay and Will have been kind of floaters in the merge. And so they're going to get back to camp. And, man, who's the other person? Wu did this in Kage-an. After they won, like, the whatever challenge. They won a challenge. Cliff had just gotten voted out. Lindsay had just quit. And so Wu is really enthusiastic about this right here. This is the final 5, you guys. We got this. We can do this. Because Wu has nowhere else to go. Jay and Will are going to do the exact same thing here to Zeke, Brett, and Sunny. Like, guys, this is us. We did it. We rocked this. We're the final 5, baby. This 5 right here. And I'm like, you go, guys. That's exactly the right call. They're so enthusiastic. I love it.
Hey, nothing bonds people more than a rock draw.
Yeah, that's true. So I really like that for both of them. Reward challenge. We're getting the loved ones visit. Oof. I'm not crying. You're crying.
But also, I'm a horrible person because I was laughing a little bit too.
Oh no, I was. Oh god, this is rough to watch. What were you laughing at?
When Adam gets stuck under the log.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Like,
I'm
challenge.
sorry.
It's not that he's getting stuck under the log. It's that he's just howling in defiance of the universe. That he's stuck under the log, and he's like the second smallest guy out there. Sorry, I know that's horrible.
Yeah. No,
but
it was kind of funny. But like when Adam's brother comes out,
yes,
just, oh my god,
very emotional.
So Adam tells everyone, I'm not going to play the advantage. I can't do that. I will be straight up. I will not play it today.
Which the entire post-merge, like, we get this information, like, because Taylor is the one who started that storyline, I guess. Like, this was never mentioned by Adam as far as like, hey, I have this, reward, or I have this advantage that I can steal a reward, and I'm going to use it to steal a loved one. Like, I don't think Adam ever said that. That was something that Taylor said.
Yep.
And he mentioned it to Jay. Jay mentioned to other people, or I think even Taylor mentioned it at a tribal council, just to get it in everyone's head. So I'm glad that Adam said it up front here, just like, no, because I don't think Adam ever considered doing something like that.
Oh, I'm sure he considered it, but
but not seriously gonna do, because he knows that it would be a killer for his game.
For sure. Jay wins, and he's going to bring Willie and Sunday first, because they all made promises to each other, and then he brings Adam, because Adam could have played it, and he didn't. And at this point, Adam and Jay are not getting along, so this is kind of like a truce moment, a little bit of peace. So Adam gives Jay his reward steal as a thank you. It's not a great thank you.
Yeah, but I loved this. Like, this was like, I don't think there's a way that you could play this advantage better than how Adam did it.
I agree.
Especially if it's public, you don't really want to use it. Like, unless it's like at like a Final 4 reward or Final 5 reward or something like that. Like, I think that's the only way that you would be able to like play this advantage and have it not come back to bite you socially. Mm-hmm. The next best thing, I think, would just be to gift it to someone else to then hurt their game.
It's great. It's pretty great. It's an absolute win from Adam. Adam's also going to win immunity. So Will wants to make a big move now. He feels like no one gives him the respect he deserves as an 18-year-old. So he wants to make his mark on the game. And he talks to Adam and David about taking out Zeke. So David's group's like, cool, we got Will. We could take out Zeke. We got this. Will, you could have done this last week.
Just so you know, you had the perfect opportunity to take out Zeke and own the move.
Yes.
But it's okay.
Congrats. You want to make a move that everyone also wants to, like, all be a part of.
Yep.
Congrats.
David's group is very calm because they think they got this. And Zeke's group gets very paranoid. And they're like, okay, let's change our target to Ken just to be safe. They're way too calm. Ken and Will are going to talk. And Ken wants to get to know him better, which is fair. You work with someone, you want to get to know them. I think it's fair. So Will tells Ken, hey, they're targeting you, by the way. They changed the target to you. And poor Ken. Poor sweet Ken. Cannot understand for the life of him why he would be the target. He does not get it at all. And it's very endearing, but it's also very stupid. But why male models?
It is truly his like Derek Zoolander, but why male models moment of the season. But like to Ken's credit, like it maybe shouldn't be him. I don't know.
I mean that's correct. Yes. But what he ends up doing mostly. Yeah, what he ends up doing here is just stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Ken's gonna go ask Jay, hey, why am I the target? Will told me I'm the target. Just completely blows up Will's spot. And it's so funny because Will and the entirety of like Jay's alliance, Brett, Sunday, and Zeke all show up to gather around this conversation between Ken and Jay. And then Ken just walks away, leaving Will to fend for himself.
He starts like a borderline open forum here and then leaves the open forum.
You know, I hate to bring him up, but it reminds me of Jeff Varner in the Australian Outback when he instigated a fight between Kimmy and Alicia, just walks away. I think that was the wave of your finger in your face fight. So
like, I know that it was dumb, but it is a little bit of a Ben bomb as well. Like, yep I'm just gonna leave now.
Yeah, and the thing with the Ben bomb, if you're gonna do that, the ideal way to do it is to drop it and leave. You don't want to stick around for the fallout. So basically comes out that Will was gunning for Zeke because he wanted to make a big move, and everybody's like, oh, that he just wants to make a big move. He wants to make his mark at the game. Will.
This is maybe my least favorite, like, supercut of confessionals in the whole season because it truly is, like, 8 straight confessionals of everybody except Will saying, like, oh, my dear sweet boy, Will. He's just trying to do something. They infantilize him. I actually had a hard time watching it because, first of all, I don't know that he's got a 0% chance to win the game. Maybe not 0, but, like, the longest odds.
I think that helps too, like knowing that context, like why there'd be so many confessionals that sound like this.
Literally when Ryan revealed that piece of information, I immediately thought of this like super cut of confessionals of everyone being like, oh dear sweet Will, you think you have a chance. He just wants to do something. He wants to help.
So on that note, and we're going to see this in future seasons with people like Michael Yeager, and Sammy Leotti. They were both 18. They did not tell anybody they were 18. And that is any 18-year-olds who are going to play Survivor, do not tell anyone you were 18. Keep that hidden. Like, just so you're like 20, 21. Otherwise, they won't vote for you.
21, graduated college, and you have student debt.
I would say 20 is probably better because then if anything comes up with like beer on a reward or something, it's like, you can't drink it like legally with productions rules and whatnot. So it's like, okay, there you
20 is probably the right call. 20 is probably the right
20 call. In college with student debt.
Help me, I'm poor.
But Zeke's group, including Will, they come back together and they're like, okay, let's take out Hannah instead because that's a whole mess now. But Will is so mad at Ken. It's kind of hilarious. Like, I feel bad for Will, but it is hilarious. He's so pissed. So we're going to get to tribal council. And basically this whole thing is like Will wants to make his move. It's his time in the spotlight. And Adam is going to steal all of his thunder with an idol play. And it wasn't even like a needed idol play, but Adam still manages to take all the attention from Will and place it on himself and kind of take the credit, even though it didn't work correctly. Because he places idol on Hannah. He didn't need to. I get why he did, just to be safe. Totally get why Adam does it, but completely steals Will's thunder.
It's beautiful. Just beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Like, because it's like, it's the whole dunking kind of conversation, but it's more just invalidating rather than just like dunking on someone. It's just constantly invalidating someone's game. It's like, you're not gonna win. We're holding your hand kind of through. It's like, okay, sure, grandpa. Like you can make your move.
Kind of the inverse.
In unnecessarily.
It's like when I let my toddler help me with his tools. And see, now I'm infantilizing Will, but that's how the show portrayed it. I'm not saying that about Will. That's how the show portrayed it. Was like, oh, we're gonna let the toddler build the swing set today.
Poor Will. 5 votes for Zeke, 4 votes for Hannah. I think Adam's play also, it made sense, but it also, it's going to bond him and Hannah even closer, and they're going to be an important duo in the end game here.
Yeah, notably at this point, has a single idol this season been played on the person who found it? Or has every idol been played on somebody else? Because David played both of his idols on other people.
Yeah.
Adam just played his on Hannah. Jay has not played his idol yet.
Jay has not played his yet. But the next 2 idols to get played will be played on
Yes,
those
yeah, but
people.
it was just wow, 3 idol plays and none on the people who found them yet.
So I think this was the right move, because for Will to win, he has to, basically do everything correctly, make the biggest swings possible, get grand slam after grand slam, and dare them not to vote for him in the end.
Yes.
That is the only way. He's got to go, take, I don't know, Ken and Hannah to the end, maybe Adam, some people who are a little questionable, and play basically perfectly from here on out. He has to swing for the fence.
We talked about David. I talked about David in the pre-merge. I said, he's down 19-1. You might as well just start swinging for the fence. There's no strategy involved here. You just got to be invited to the All-Star game.
Will's down 18-0.
Yeah, Will is down 18-0. He doesn't think it's that bad, but he's
He doesn't know the score.
So he doesn't know the score. All he knows is that he's down.
Yep. So Will has to take out Zeke to have a shot. So, unfortunately for him, Adam stole his thunder. It's really funny.
We'll call it half credit, but still half the credit was stolen.
He did what he needed to do.
Yes.
And I think that's all that matters here. Josh, who do you got for best player?
I had Adam. He didn't play his idol correctly, but I think that it was a good insurance and relationship bonding moment. Adam's in an interesting spot here to where there's clear threats in front of him. 100% David and Zeke, who are going to eventually have to go home. I would maybe argue that it would be in his best interest to keep them around a little bit longer as meat shields. But, having this idol play, not knowing that there's this whole Will can't really win the game conversation. I did like that it kind of invalidated that. And we didn't really talk about it, but we weren't really shown whether Will was going to go one way or the other. This was very much hey, we've got these 2 factions and it's up to Will essentially who goes home. So, and you don't know what Will's going to do because he's just kind of been all over the board in this episode, and I just kind of like the extra insurance that he made sure to play with.
Yeah, I had Adam as well. He didn't play the reward steal at the loved ones visit. He gave it to Jay, won immunity, played the idol on Hannah, took out Zeke. Great night for Adam.
I'm going to keep mine simple, and I disqualified Adam because one thing that I want to keep in mind, I didn't share my dank down. Ryan shared his rank down, that Adam pretty low. I still have Adam hanging out pretty close to that danger zone. I don't have him necessarily in my bottom 3 right now, but one little thing either way, and you could fall into that cannot win category. I think that people still kind of perceive him as this weaselly guy out there, maybe a little bit more like Woo than he'd like to be. I'm going to pick what I think to be the low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to say that it's Will. Because you need to do stuff like this to win, and he did the thing that he needs to do to try to win. He may have 0%, he doesn't know that, and I'm not going to grade him as though he has 0% chance to win, because he hasn't played a bad game to this point. He's played a flawed game, but so has basically everybody.
Literally everybody.
So I'm going to say Will. It's not his fault that he's been kind of infantilized and adopted by everybody on the season. Play into that. They're underestimating you, and like Ryan said, dare them not to vote for you at the end. This is step 1 of that plan.
Yeah,
I think that's completely fair, and also the reason why he was just in a weird spot in this episode was an insane thing that someone else did. There's no reason for Ken to do what he did and put Will in just kind of a weird spot.
On that note, my worst player is Ken. He blew up Will's spot when he needed Will's vote desperately.
Yeah, it's Ken. That was dangerous.
Yep. No notes.
Hey guys, I've lost my winner pick. There goes Zeke. So I had to move on. I moved on to David.
All three of us made it. All 3 of us made it pretty far before the first one,
Final
tumbled.
line. So I move on to David at this point. Josh still on Brett. Derek's still on Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really bold move, seeing seeing that David is the clear biggest threat now in the game, and it's not just in the edit he's the biggest threat. It is very much vocalized on the island, and we have a lot of votes left. David's not a challenge beast. He's played his idol.
He won 1.
True, but David does not scream, hey, he's going to win out.
I disagree. At this point, he screams he's going to win out because he's getting such a great story. And
okay, sure.
It's shocking that because remember, I editology, it's shocking that he doesn't win. And Adam at this point is still climbing back up the ladder. Because what you said, he ends up being more in the middle of my rank downs. There was a time where he was, if not in the can't win category, barely out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he climbed back up, and Adam is still working on that at this point. So that's why I went to David.
Okay.
Zeke's going to play again, though. Do we want to see it?
Yeah, at this point, watching it a second time through, I see that sort of conceited arrogance, maybe a little condescension, like you mentioned, at that tribal. That stuff always makes me feel a little bit iffy as an older person watching Survivor as opposed to when I was in my early 20s. But I mean, he did enough and was such a great character. Give him a chance to come back. It's not like he was Russell Nasty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not the bar.
Not even close.
But he's not even close.
Yeah, 100%. Not even a question. It's not really talked about a whole lot, but like he did have quite a bit of a transformation as well from the beginning of the show. It's dwarfed by David's transformation, but that did happen, and I would love to see how he would play with in a future season where people know him and know his game. He can be confident, but maybe he learns not to be so arrogant as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Zeke again. I wish it wasn't on Game Changers.
Yeah, and if we're going like meta for a second, because I mean, we're in the era of like season 50 discussions right now. I believe Zeke has openly said that he is not interested in playing Survivor again. His Survivor story has been told, but Zeke will play again. We will not talk about how Zeke performs in that season at this point.
Yeah. Wish it was on a different season.
Yeah.
I wish he hadn't played on Game Changers. Maybe he was back on 50. That's what I wish happened, I guess I would say. Yeah, if you know, you know. Episode 12, Slayed the Survivor Dragon. This is a regular length episode, but we're going to get 2 tribal councils. So we're a speed run, basically, for the final 8 and the final 7.
Great coach reference.
Especially after, this is only 2 episodes after the other double that we had. Yep. So, it just seemed like we're flying through this post-merge.
This post-merge flies by.
Are they going to vote out Brendan again?
So Will wants to play what ends up being, I think this was in a deleted scene, but he calls it the pendulum strategy, where you flip us back and forth between alliances. And I think it was in the deleted scene where he told Hannah this strategy, and you don't tell people you're going to do that. I know that wasn't in this episode proper, but it's just something I remember. I love the pendulum strategy. If you can pull it off, you can flip back and forth between alliances and play it like that. If you can pull it off, especially if you have a partner, Tony and Wu did this. It's a great strategy, and I really like it a lot. I think Will needed to go for it, but yeah, don't tell people that's your strategy necessarily.
Well, and to be clear, I don't think you should do the pendulum strategy without a partner, because if it's with a partner or with a group of 3, that's a voting block. If you do it by yourself, you're a flipper. So safety in numbers here.
It's interesting that you say that, Ryan, because Hannah's the perfect person for him to tell it to. Because she essentially kind of does a lot of that on her own. So if they would have done this together, their games might have been looked at a little bit differently.
That's the thing, though. They didn't do it together. Mm-hmm. You got to do it together, and Hannah doesn't do it together.
Also, you have to have really good social games to pair along with it, because otherwise you get labeled as more of a flipper than anything, and it's a really annoying game that you're playing instead.
Brett and Sunday are going to approach Adam, and they want to make a new alliance. They want to take out Jay, Will, and David. Doesn't matter the order, but they want those 3 gone. Okay. It makes sense. Jay and David are huge threats, and Will is taking swings. So that makes him dangerous, even though he can't win.
Take out the wild card.
Jay wins immunity, saving himself. He was probably going to be the target. He still has his idol, but, he can't be voted for now.
Gosh, we haven't talked about Jay in so many episodes now, because he's either winning or has kind of been able to shrink into the background a little bit. So, good for Jay. We haven't forgotten about you, because amidst all of this, he's been a great and consistent character in the show, even if he hasn't had much strategic relevance, if that makes sense.
Yes. So Adam wants to target Will. He wants to get Will out of this game, so he's going to rally people while Will and Jay are trying to get David out. Will's trying to do the pendulum thing, take out David. I don't know why Adam wants to target Will, because they have a pretty good relationship now. Adam even says he thinks Will is fairly loyal to him, and Adam can beat Will. So I don't know why Adam wants to do this. Why take out Will here? It doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
And I don't have a solid answer for you, other than we see Adam and Hannah kind of playing this pendulum game already. It almost feels like, get out of my lane. I'm already doing this. Stop trying to overshadow me playing my own game. goodbye. Maybe that's the reason. I don't have a good answer otherwise, except for the fact that Jay has the idol and he's winning immunity, and there are bigger threats around that might be too obvious that you want to keep in your corner until the numbers are more willing to flip on them. I don't know.
I don't get it. It's 6 votes for Will, 2 votes for David. I don't like the move. It should have been Dave.
Maybe this was a cool down for the players, like path of least resistance, which you don't want to get complacent in Survivor, but this vote does feel a little complacent, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I think it is important to also think about the fact that there are, after David, who's going to be the biggest remaining threats left in the game?
Jay.
There's not a whole lot of people there. The only 2 people that have kind of come up are Brett and Adam, kind of. Maybe a Sunday. There's a question mark there. But David's always there as, the one big threat. And it could be worth keeping him around. I'm not don't keep him too long. Definitely don't keep him too long. But it might be worth keeping him around a little bit longer, just as that guaranteed vote. Because if it's far enough into the game, he's going to 100%, as long as he doesn't have idol or immunity, he's 100% going to be the vote.
I think take the shot now while you have it. And Will's not beating anybody.
Well, there's there's that part of the conversation.
So people who are on the bottom, I don't know who would be at this point. Ken probably, and the other one could be Adam or Hannah. I don't really know who the bottom ones are at this point, but all of them should be I can beat Will.
And that's actually a good point. And how close are we to best and worst of the episode?
That's next.
Okay, so I'll save it for then.
So let's get into best and worst. Derek, who do you have?
Yeah, and you actually jogged my memory. Why does Adam maybe want to take out Will at this point? 1, and I mentioned this, path of least resistance, but 2, here's the thing. You said that Will's not beating anybody. If there are people at the top who all know they can win, that's 1 spot that Adam does not have in a potential final 3 if Will is a guaranteed cannot win. So by getting rid of Will, someone who everyone was amenable to, and by the way, my answer is Adam, because you get rid of someone who kind of slots into a spot for you and you force other people to consider you as being another option in your final 3. It's your move, and you need to start adding things to your game because you are seen as kind of like the Weasley guy. And he also had a very good diplomatic episode working with everybody, all deciding that they didn't want to let Will continue with his unnamed pendulum strategy.
The problem with that is Adam's so close to the bottom of the rank downs, in my opinion, that getting rid of Will puts him very close to cannot win territory.
But he's also doing stuff. He's active in his participation.
I think there's so many people above him that he should be targeting instead, where he's at in the game, because he's still coming back from his disastrous merge start.
I understand that. I still have Adam as my loose best because it feels like everybody else got complacent, but Adam is trying to take control.
I actually had a really hard time with this just because we didn't get a lot of content here.
This was 18 minutes.
So there's very little information to work off of. So I actually did not have a decision made going into this. I was thinking about Adam. I was thinking about Jay. I think I want to go with Jay here. Jay won immunity, right?
Yes. Jay won immunity, but he was left out of the vote.
Yeah. But we didn't really see much strategy though. That was the hardest thing. We just didn't see strategy. It just kind of came together. So my reasoning for considering Jay at least would be 1, having immunity, but 2, also I do think it's good for David to be around for Jay. Jay and Jay only, really, just as that extra person to keep the attention off of him, especially since he has an idol still. So I think I'm gonna go with him just because I don't feel strongly about anyone else.
I think you're both dead wrong. The answer's David.
Because they should have targeted him and they didn't. He
survived. He's got these amazing social bonds that people... 5 people did not gun for him when they should have. I think it's slam dunk David.
I get that. We just did not see anything from that.
Well, yeah, but this is a whole season's worth of, this is what it's built up to. These relationships that he's built saved him.
I'm not going to fight you on David. I'm really not.
This is the part where you switch to my side again. I'm coming in with these excellent arguments, and
I don't think they're excellent arguments. I think
this is excellent.
It is a different philosophy for how you award best and worst player of the episode. You like to award these based off of a culmination from the entire game.
That's true. Sometimes
I know in this specific circumstance, but I'm just saying there was nothing really in this episode that he did that we were shown.
Jay voted for David. You're giving him best because David's sticking around is good for. He voted for David.
I
All
didn't
I'm
say I
doing,
had a great reason.
all I'm doing is bringing logic and facts, and you guys should change your minds. Is what I'm saying. Like when I present new information, when you guys present new information to me or something I haven't thought of, I change my mind. No problem. Change your goddamn
I don't know
minds.
about
I get your
no
logic. I
problem.
don't agree. You don't have facts because there were no facts of that in this episode.
Logic and facts, baby.
Ryan is speaking very, very confidently about something that is ambiguous at best, but run through the Ryan filter is spitting
I'll
out
say,
what I would call
maybe if you do
Ryan
it-
facts.
Maybe if you do it in a different way, I would flip, but I almost don't want to now. Out of spite.
Well, that's your goddamn problem. I think you know I'm right. I think you know I'm right.
In my defense, okay, one more thing in my defense and in Jay's defense. Jay voted for David, which would have been the correct move. He was
True.
he
I
voted for the right person.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
But you gave him credit for David staying in the game helped him. So like no.
So?
No.
So
No. You know that doesn't work.
don't worry about it.
I'm worried about it.
I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I'm just saying that Adam is taking swings, bettering his position, and forcing people to consider him more seriously moving into the final phase of the game.
Josh, who's your worst player?
Hilarious because, like, again, I didn't have any information to work off of with this. So let's go with Ken. Will going home hurts his game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave Ken a dishonorable mention. I had Hannah. I'm not sure if this puts her in cannot win territory, but I think it's close. And I think Ken was already there. So I think it just hurt Hannah's game more than Ken's because Ken was already really bad.
Put some respect on Ken's name. Come on.
After that last episode, absolutely not.
Yeah, for worst player, I had a hard time. I fell on Hannah mostly because I had Will also at pretty low, cannot win the game. And whereas like Adam wanted this to happen and I felt like him not being complacent was actually a good thing in the circumstance. I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth because I have a different version of this coming up later this season that I think is worse and will earn someone worse player. But Will going home is actively bad for Hannah because I think that it is her, Ken, and Will at the bottom at this point. And she's kind of run herself maybe out of options with the flipping by going along with this Will vote. So like if she had driven it, maybe I would have been more okay with it because I'm like, oh, Hannah has a plan. But because she was backseating and playing complacently into Adam's game, so maybe that was my tiebreaker between the two. But I gave it to Hannah.
Okay. All right. Part B to whatever of episode 12. They're going to get back to camp and Adam like apologizes to Jay for lying to him again. But no, they're good. I love the relationship between these two.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun dynamic. But Jay's going to try and get Adam to turn on David next. And Adam's like, yeah, David's got to go. But so does Jay, and he's got an idol. They both got to go.
Two things can be true at once.
Mm-hmm.
Immunity challenge, and I love this. So it's this game. Basically, you have to solve a puzzle while basically a ball goes down like a plinko board. But if it goes too far down, you have to stop working on your puzzle and wait for it to go through a really slow shoot, before you can start working on it again. And Ken's getting pretty close to the end, and Adam does not want Jay or David to win this thing. So Adam basically starts helping Ken, and it's like, I will watch the ball for you and tell you when to go, like, send it back up. You work on your puzzle. I got your back, dude. And so Adam helps Ken win immunity. And we haven't really seen too much like this before. I love it. I'm a huge fan of the strategy. This is the kind of stuff I do in Mario Party all the time. I'll try and help somebody else just to prevent somebody else from winning. It's a classic Mario Party strat that I love, and I love seeing it played on Survivor.
Yeah, it's more like conspiring and less like throwing a challenge. Like he's throwing it for himself, but you know, he didn't immediately throw it. He just like once it became apparent that he can't do it, he's just going to make sure that his enemies don't win.
Yeah, it's not about, he doesn't need to win, David and Jay need to lose.
Yeah. What was that recent example where someone like went back and grabbed a board in the 40s when we were like,
Liz did that to help Kenzie or Charlie or something? It was in 46
because they were conspiring against Maria.
Yeah, they were
at that
conspiring
point.
against Maria.
Yeah. And that one, I mean, that one still feels like a gray area because, like, you know, stepping into their lane, touching their stuff. But this is very clearly legal, and I like it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do this correctly. I think, you know, Michaela did this earlier in the season, and I wasn't a big fan of it just because of, you know, being really out there in a challenge. And that was in the pre-merge. So I feel like it's a little bit different than late in the game right now when there's really big stakes as far as who wins immunity. And I think that Adam is going to do a good enough job explaining why he did this to have it be okay. Because Jay's going to be upset in the moment with him, just like, really, Adam? And, he has a right to be upset just because it's working against him. But the way that Adam just, kind of says it later is, he actually didn't even say, I didn't want Jay to win. He said he didn't want David to win.
Yep.
So
nice
I thought
play.
that was a really good job by Adam.
Agreed completely. And that's because he wants to do an idol split on Jay and David, which is a phenomenal move. That should be what happens.
Should have happened a while ago.
David wants to switch the target to Brett because he's scared of Jay's idol. Jay plays it, he goes home. But Hannah suggests Sunday instead. She sees Sunday as a goat and is someone who is tempting to bring to the end and might take her spot instead. And I don't really get why she sees Sunday as a goat. Sunday is super well liked. And yeah, she's playing. She hasn't done anything like too flashy, but she's definitely playing. I think Hannah's much more of a goat than Sunday ever was.
I think it has a lot to do with the type of season we're on. This has been a very gameplay focused season. And, yes, the social game really matters. And that's Sunday's, probably biggest attribute for herself, just because we haven't seen a whole lot else from her in any other way. But I don't think that's what people are thinking about right now. I think that there are so many likable people that it almost cancels out for most of the cast here. And it's going to, if that cancels out, okay, what's left? Things that Sunday does not have.
But when you have people who have been playing frustratingly, like Hannah, like Ken, like Adam at times, I still think I have Sunday above all of them.
It's all about framing. Hannah doesn't think she's playing frustratingly. Hannah thinks that she's playing a middle game and finessing her way through the game. So I think that's where more the perception of your own game comes in.
Yeah.
I think Sunday is closer to a Holly than she is to a Dawn in Dawn's season, where she needed to be kind of like emotionally catered to a little bit. That is a very dangerous person at the end. Among the most dangerous, quote unquote, like old school games to play against. Sunday, in that vein, is more dangerous than Ken. Just as an example. So I think that Hannah is a little bit short-sighted here. I get where she's coming from, but like Josh said, it depends on who you ask. Because I think Sunday's playing a dangerous old school game on a season where that might be appreciated with a lot of Gen Xers on the jury.
And just a lot of people who like Sunday in the jury, like everybody except Jessica.
Yeah.
Adam's going to tell Jay to play his idol, and Jay's like, I don't think I need to play it. Something tells me I don't need to play it. And then we're going to get what I think is possibly, at the very least, it's my favorite emotional moment in all of Survivor, and possibly my favorite moment of all time, because Adam and Jay are going to be hanging out in the hammock, and Jay's very frustrated, like, bro, give me a chance, you're throwing me a bone. And Adam is going to tell him, like, I can't help you out because I need to play this game for my mom. And he tells Jay about his mom dying from cancer. And Adam is crying his eyes out while he's saying this. And as he's talking, Jay pulls his buff down over his eyes. And you're like, why? Is he going to sleep? That's odd. No, he's like trying his best to not sob his eyes out because his mom has been suffering from brain aneurysms for 9 years. And holy God, Adam at one point, basically he's just like, I am so scared about this. Like, I am so scared right now about my mom dying. And wow, this is the highlight of the season for me. This is the highlight of Survivor for me, is moments like this. To have these two bitter rivals, yet friendly rivals, I guess I should say.
Rivals.
And to have this just hardcore emotional bond over something so awful. Damn. I couldn't watch this episode of work. I knew it was coming, and I'm like, I'm not watching this episode of work. I'm going to watch this at home so I can cry my eyes out with anybody watching.
And confirm, Ryan told me, I'm not watching that one at work. I know it's coming. I'm with Ryan. I think this is top 5 Survivor moment for me for sure. If not number 1 overall, kind of on that rewatch. It's real, it's raw, and it's relatable. Like, I know that it's a small thing. My mom lost her best friend in the whole world to brain aneurysms when I was very, very little. Stage 4 cancer is something that can come along to anybody, and it's there, and it's reality. And these two people meet in this game under these circumstances, and they share this moment. There's a lot of stupid drama in Survivor, but this is one of the more real things that I think entertainment can deliver. If you have this in a movie, yeah, you can, I don't want to say like manufacture, but you can write something like this. Yep. But the story of humanity wrote this, if that makes sense. And that's where it's a rare, beautiful observer out of body moment, and I think that everyone involved was a very good person. I don't know, I hope everyone understands my meaning, because I agree with Ryan. This is one of my favorite moments of all time.
And I don't think Adam intended to tell anyone really during this game. That makes it, I feel like, a much more authentic moment as well. They're just sitting in a hammock.
Yep.
Just sitting in a hammock, and it's just an honest conversation. And it started with an honest, like before it even got to Adam, like Jay basically saying, like, dude, just give me a chance. Like, he's like just wants to play the game. So like the entire thing was just really authentic. And I was really curious about how that was going to play through on the rewatch of this season, because I wasn't entirely sure. I couldn't really remember if Adam's story had a lot of authenticity, or if it was more forced just because I only watched it live. No, it absolutely was not forced at all. So I was glad to see that part, that like this greater story throughout the entirety of this season. It hits. It hits really hard.
Yeah. So just incredible. This is what we watch Survivor for. Like, great gameplay is fun, but these real human moments are really, really good too. Mm-hmm. Back to the game. Hannah's gonna push Adam to target Sunday, and Adam's like, "This is dumb."
He hates this plan.
This is such a dumb move.
Why? Why are we doing this? Why?
So, Tribal Council. Jay is gonna finally play his idol. He didn't need to. I don't blame him, but he didn't need to. It's going to be 4 votes for Sunday, 2 votes for David, 1 vote for Jay. This was dumb. Do the Jay-David split, you cowards.
There's no reason not to. Like, I don't really have anything else to say other than, like, why? Like, this is... Actually, no, I do know why. It's because Hannah wants to feel like she's making a lot of moves in this game, because you kind of have to when you're playing the middle. But it gets to a point of being unnecessary. And once you cross over and do unnecessary, that's when you start being a little reckless and making moves that aren't actually smart and strategic, which will definitely get brought up in Final Tribal Council by Adam. So rightfully so. So that, I think that's all this is just someone trying to make a move just because.
Yeah, it wasn't a well thought out move. You know, you can make all the moves you want, but if they're bad moves, people aren't going to award you the vote.
To me, this is the result. I don't want to say Hannah has realized it, but I think it's the result of Hannah not having much agency left in the game. Not much room left for her to put her handprint on it. There are 2 very obvious targets. Everybody knows who they are, including them. And she's like, how about this third thing? And the 2 targets are like, yes.
Sure.
That's a great plan. And then everyone else who has to kind of placate in that direction to play nice is like, I mean, fine, but why? Like I said, Sunday is closer to a Holly than to a Dawn in this particular respect. She can win the game. In that regard, I guess it's not horrible for Hannah, but it's not the time. No. And I think that her game stands a better chance against Sundays on a season like Millennials versus Gen X than it does against like a David's or a Jay's. So question marks, question marks everywhere.
Josh, who you got for best player?
This is such a weird one, because I'm trying to take out like the superhuman moment with Jay and Adam, because that's a great connection, everything. But I want to go to like a David here, just because he should be going home. He really should be going home. And he is helping push this through. Like, Hannah has the idea, but he helps, continue it. It is almost a little bit like what Ryan was saying in the first half of this episode, where, he should be going home. It's a super social move by him. We're just getting a little bit more information here in the second half versus the first half.
Same reasons, David.
Yeah, I had a hard time. It was more de facto David for this reason, because what actually happened ended up being like really silly gameplay. So I'm not giving it to David for anything that he did, and I don't even really want to give it to him for the social bonds that he built. It was more just like, let Hannah get in her own way. And sometimes Ethan's on. That's all you gotta do. Just let people step in. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
Luigi wins a bumper balls in Mario Party by doing absolutely nothing.
Yes.
Google that. You'll know what I'm talking about.
That's a very famous gif.
It's a great gif. For worst player, I have Hannah. This was a bad move.
Yeah, if you're gonna, I understand, in Survivor, sometimes it's good to be the driver. It's good to be the pilot. We've got a trillion analogies over the course of Survivor mythos. if you're driving straight off a cliff, that's a bad place to drive. And I'm not saying it's quite that bad, but like she's driving really fast over a speed bump. That's still going to damage your car and drastically reduce the ability you're getting where you're going undamaged. So I have Hannah, I mean, kind of dishonorable mentions to the people who weren't able to talk her out of it. So like, you know, Adam to a certain extent, but again, if Hannah wants to take her own game, that's fine. Just let her do it. Like, all right, cool. The Hannah Memorial episode, that's how this will be remembered.
Yeah, I don't feel as strongly about it, but I am going to go with Hannah just because of where she's at in the game, where I understand her thought process behind it. I don't agree, but I understand like kind of like where it's coming from. I do want to give a little bit of a dishonorable mention to Jay just because he played his idol incorrectly. I would have played it as well, but it still happened. He still played it incorrectly.
Yeah.
And now, you know, that idol was so important to him staying in the game this long.
Finale time, baby. Final 6. I'm going for $1 million. Brett is super irritated with Hannah for taking out Sunday because it was a bad move, and this is why she loses. She kind of strung Sunday and Brett along quite a bit over the course of the season, and it wasn't so much that she flipped a lot, it's that she kept stringing people along and giving them hope when there wasn't any. And that kind of comes home to roost here with this Sunday vote. And the fact that she directed it was a bad move. So this is really why Hannah loses.
And I don't see it so much as like, I believe you said this is kind of Amanda Kimmel's big downfall in her first 2 seasons. Like you're stringing people along. That way it's a bigger betrayal when finally you don't go with them. That's like her Achilles heel, Amanda's heel. I think it's because Hannah is so wishy-washy that nobody ever knows where they stand with her. And I think it's partially because Hannah doesn't know where she stands with them.
I don't know if she is wishy-washy, but she appears to be.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So outwardly, she appears very wishy-washy, and at some point in Survivor, you need to take a stand, even if you're taking a stand that, I'm gonna be a swing vote. This is my game. If you don't own your game while you're doing it, and at the end, you're gonna face uphill battle. I don't think Hannah ever really was able to own this in the moment, and just kind of played, I don't want to say played dumb about it, but like played innocent. Nobody's innocent. Stop pretending that you are.
Yeah.
I'm not even innocent. Because once Final Tribal rolls around, like she's gonna try to change the narration of her game into this being a good thing, and it just kind of wasn't executed in a good way.
She tried. She actually does pretty well at Final Tribal Council. We'll get into that. I was actually I'm impressed with her performance. But yeah, it was lacking during her time on the island before Final Tribal Council.
We'll talk about this again at Final Tribal, but because it's coming up right now, where Adam is just oozing authenticity in this game that he's playing that's very remarkably similar to Hannah's. He's a free agent. He kind of flips when he needs to flip and goes with like what is the smart strategic move, but he's owned that from the very first moment he hit the beach. So if Hannah makes it to the end and is saying that she played the same game as Adam, who's going to win? The one who was oozing the authenticity the entire game. And that's just unfortunate that Hannah played the same game as someone who played it better than her this season. So I don't want it to come across as like, oh, demerits to Hannah for doing this, but props to Adam for doing this. Perception matters, and based on the results, everyone thought that Adam was more authentic or more true in that moment on that
Chris's
game.
Statement at Final Tribal Council sums it up better than anything else, which we'll get into that more.
We'll get into it, and I apologize for getting ahead of us.
That's okay. David, it turns out, has been collecting beads all season. Kind of like Bob and Back in Gabon, another Gabon reference. He makes a fake idol. He hides it in a coconut and paints some like a pink symbol on it. I think he put the instructions in there too.
He did,
to make it look real.
He did? I didn't see it because I was specifically looking for him because I'm like, how do you fall for this when there's no instructions with it? But
they
because
were folded up.
I just didn't see it fall out of the coconut. Okay.
They were folded up from his last idol. It was amazing.
So Jay finds it. Looks real to me.
It goes on this absolute victory tour. These losers, they didn't see jack. I can't believe
by it.
These ding dongs. Game's not over yet. Nah, I'm not going home. Just ultimate supercut victory tour, insulting their intelligence. Meanwhile, like David has got a smirk. Like I think he saw it.
Poor Jay.
Point of consulting here. If there's an idol right next to the water well, it could be an idol. But if it's inside a coconut that is painted and facing out towards you, and it's like literally just sitting right there, maybe it's not an idol.
But that is what they've been doing this season. That's what the idols were hidden like this season.
But not it was down a path usually, or like at least in the brush a little bit more. This thing was leaning against the tree next to the path, next to the water well.
But it looked like a real idol, and it had the note, man.
This thing was guaranteed to be found within 30 minutes. Like
it's poor Jay.
I mean, he was being kind of a jerk about it. So and don't get me wrong, he deserves it. But still, I feel bad for the guy because he's not a bad dude.
all I'm saying is take it, obviously.
Yep.
Play it tonight, but assume that it's fake. Assume that you're going forward with a vote as like you don't actually have an idol.
So immunity challenge, Jay is going to solve the combination lock first, and you get a cover so you can cover that back up. Jay does not put it back up so everyone can copy off of him and get the answer. And Jay loses the immunity challenge possibly because of this. David wins immunity and reward. Jay's going to use the reward steal though, but takes David on reward. This is how you use it. You take the reward, take the winner with you, but you just control who the other person to go on the reward is. In this case, he brings Adam to thank him for the reward steal.
Played perfectly by Jay, and he knows, I mean, I guess he doesn't know that he's could be going home tonight because he thinks he has an idol. But, for in his position at least, like, use this while you're still in the game.
So he's going to try and get Adam and David to join him against Brett. Because Brett has a lot of friends on the jury. And David and Hannah seem to be interested in this move. Unclear how much it was. But we're going to go to tribal council. Jay's going to play the fake idol. LOL.
Jay playing the fake idol is absolutely hilarious. Jeff throwing it in the fire. His face when he sits down is like, this is not an immunity idol. He's like, oh no.
What?
And it's like there's like a processing time in his brain, just like tick, 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 tick. Oh, you got
me.
I just love the realization and how long it took and just the silence from him before figuring it out.
Two things I want to mention. One, he reminded me so much of Channing Tatum in 22 Jump Street during the moment when he has that realization. Just ding, he's like, oh! And just loses his mind laughing at how he just got. What a great sport.
What a great sport.
Bring the guy back just for his gracious exit. I know that he's like kind of infamous for his time on the challenge now as being kind of a dweeb. Maybe dweeb's not the right word, but like
douche nozzle.
Yeah, but like bring him back on Survivor. None of that is canon in my Survivor world.
Does it look like I care about the challenge?
But my biggest question, did David tell anybody that Jay found his fake idol? Because if I'm Jay, I immediately go show this to Hannah. Like the most paranoid person out there, try and get her to flip the vote and like go with you so that she's not the target. I feel like Jay should have done more with this.
I think Jay just wants to put on a show and claim this move as his own.
Which it would be.
Right. And so you don't tell anybody else. I get it. Ken plays the legacy advantage because he has that.
Yep.
Which works as an idol, basically. 5 votes for Jay, 1 vote for Ken. So this would have been fun. If this had been a real idol, no votes count. 5 votes Jay, 1 vote Ken, none of them count. Revote. David's got immunity. Who goes home? Probably Brett.
Probably Brett, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It seems like it would be Brett just with the preliminary conversations we're getting between Brett and Adam. Who knows?
But this is the right move. Jay has to go.
Yep.
He might be threat number 1.
Yeah. Threat number 1, I think the only person who could consider maybe trying to keep Jay around is David, just because it's after Jay, like it's David and just David, and it's not close. So, kind of just meat shield it up, but I don't think there would be any chance that he'd be able to get votes to swing into a different direction.
Nor should he be able to. Best player, Derek, who do you got?
Oh, yeah, it's David. The fake idol play and Jay so confidently losing, and he won immunity to take his name off the table completely. Everything David did this part of the finale was incredible.
Yeah, for the immunity alone, it could be David. Also, he has... Now he's undisputed threat number 1, which is a good and a bad thing. But, all you have to do is make it to the end now. Fake idol was great. Didn't really have... I mean... It probably shouldn't have that much of an impact just because Jay should play like he doesn't have an idol in this scenario, but it's great either way.
I think it does have an impact because there was a real idol still out there. Stop Jay from looking for the real one.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
David slam dunk. Worst player, Josh, who do you got?
You know what? I wanted to just say none, I just because there wasn't really bad gameplay in this
You can.
episode that I could identify or that I could remember. So
You can say that. You can.
no,
You can say
I
that.
know, I know. That's what I'm saying is that I didn't have one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I also had nobody.
I also had nobody.
Because this was easy the right move after David won immunity.
Final 5. Ken wins immunity at the final 5. Just going to go straight to the immunity challenge. Boom, Ken's off the table. So Adam and Brett talk, and their plan is to vote out David. Obviously. There's nothing else crazy that could possibly happen here. David has to go home. We can't let him get one challenge away from winning this game. He's won immunity already. That would be ridiculous if we let that happen, right, guys?
He's won immunity twice.
Twice.
Already.
So that would be ridiculous. Just to make sure that everything's safe, Adam goes off and finds the idol. So David doesn't have it.
Guaranteed.
Yep. Good thing, too, because David wants to take out Adam first, then Brett, because Adam is better at challenges than Brett is. Adam's won immunity. Brett is not good at the challenges. So David and Ken, they go tell Brett, like, hey, let's take Adam out. And then Brett's like, cool. Immediately runs off and tells Adam that he's the target. Adam is so overconfident here because he's going to tell both Brett and Hannah that he has the idol. You're fine telling Brett this, but what a mistake to tell Hannah this one. What a mistake.
It's just not necessary.
No, you don't want to tell people about the idol. You just don't, because the target will end up being moved back to Brett. Hannah's going to run back and tell, and yeah, Adam lost his moment to have a big move, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is your last opportunity to play that idol, so it's not like you can use that to get the vote off of you to be able to use it at next tribal or anything. Like, no, we don't need to get cute here with this.
Nope.
Just play it tonight. You shouldn't be going there. There's no reason why you should be going home, but just in case someone is gonna, try to get cute with it, you can guarantee it at least.
Yep, and if he had kept his mouth shut, he might have idled David out of the game here.
Yeah, and to be clear, to pile on Adam a little bit, Brett comes back to camp. Just so you know, Dave's thrown out your name. Oh, okay, but you and I are still solid. We still both agree that David has to go, right? Yes, okay, I'm going to go check with Hannah. We know Ken's not flipping. I'm going to go check with Hannah. I'm going to stand with you no matter what happens tonight. He might be telling you me, but it still might be you. Let's vote out David tonight. Play the idol for yourself. And then either Brett or David goes home, depending on what the truth is. It would have been David.
Yep. So it ends up being 3 votes of Brett, 2 votes David. Brett's pissed at Hannah on his way out. He's like, oh, look who flipped again. So you got a couple of really angry people who are really angry at you, Hannah. Good job. This is... What are we doing, Hannah? What are we doing? This is terrible. Take out David. This is so unnecessarily risky.
But look at all the friends he has on the jury.
I'm not saying don't take Brett out at 4, but David's gotta go.
Yeah.
For all the friends that Brett might have on the jury, David has the same friends and like people who would vote for him, and then some.
Yeah. My best player is David. He got Hannah and Ken to keep him in the game against all odds.
I'm going to switch it to David. I did have Adam written down initially because the target was swapped to him. And he did find an idol. Now, because he kind of oversold the situation, the target was able then to move to Brett because David's cunning. So I'm going to swap to David for his ability to maneuver. But I want to give that honorable mention to Adam that he may have very well saved himself with Brett being in survival mode. But even then, that would have been because David got to Brett first and was able to kind of clue him in, even if Brett told on him. So I will change my vote to David.
I am going to go Adam. Again, this was Hannah. We're not working with logic here. There's no reason why.
Clearly, we're not working with logic.
Happening.
I see, but here's the thing. I wrote Adam, so I see where Josh is coming from. I am willing to change it this time because Adam should not have told anybody he had the idol.
Telling Hannah he had the idol was terrible.
He told too many people, and that's why I'm revoking.
It shouldn't matter.
But it did, and it should be David for best player.
Yes, it did. But David didn't do anything here.
Yes, he did. He has such a tight bond with Hannah and Ken.
He did rework the vote and get it steered back onto Brett, and somehow convinced Hannah, Ken as well. Ken does not get a free pass here. But Hannah, what are you doing? So I'm going to give him merits to David, and I'm about to give the merits to Hannah.
I'm sticking with Adam.
That's fine.
That's an insane
I'm sticking
take.
with Adam.
Pure insanity.
I'm proud of you, Josh.
No, you shouldn't be.
I'm proud of you.
If you're wrong, you shouldn't stick to being wrong. And you should change your mind.
And I feel like there's another reason why it can't be David, but I wrote down best can't be David.
Why? Why? Explain yourself.
Because he didn't do anything.
That is not true. Categorically false.
There's got to be another reason why I wrote that down. Like there had to have been something else that he did that's just like no.
Like, was he trying to get too cute in bringing Brett in on the vote, who went and ratted that out to Adam?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which, like, I get, but you also have to kind of appease Brett a little bit and give him an option. At least give him two options, which we've seen David and Adam do regularly this entire season.
And let me say, this is not a strong, like, Adam best. Like, this is like a fine. I guess it's Adam. That is how I feel about this one. And yes, that is still enough for him over David.
I love watching the cortisol flood Ryan's brain. This is so funny to me. Does not compute. Ryan is broken.
Josh, we need to talk about your drinking problem.
How'd you know?
Pure insanity. I don't know what's going on anymore. Derek, who's your worst player?
It's Hannah. What? Like, okay, cards on the table. Hannah already lost.
Yeah.
Like it's over. But she's now hit rock bottom with the shovel blade of like a silly strategy. She's not the bottoms of the bottom, but I mean, at least try and finish strong here. David is the obvious number one. Brett is just overthinking it.
I think if she voted out David here, I think she had a much better chance, because I think part of the problem, people were frustrated that she let David get so close.
Well, and now you're letting Brett go to the jury and stew with them for a couple days on Ponderosa, talking about how annoying it was to play with Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah lost when Sunday, I think, went home. But that doesn't mean that maybe you have a fighting chance against someone like Brett. Like, who knows? Who knows what social connections, or, disconnections, if, like, people might be upset with Brett for whatever reason. Like, you don't know. You don't know. What you do know is that David will win this game if he makes it to the end. So, hands down, Hannah, not even close.
Yep, agreed. Hannah. So we lose Brett here, and we didn't talk about it earlier. I'm going to wait until Brett went home, but Brett and Chris go on the Amazing Race together. And boy, oh boy, is that a fun pair. I love Brett and Chris. They're great.
I don't really watch the Amazing Race, but I can see that being fun.
Yeah. They're goofballs. Yeah, Chris likes to make fun of Brett and claim that Brett has a crush on him, and that he's his survivor love, and Brett's just like, shut up. Oh, one thing I didn't mention that I thought was hilarious is back at the family visit, Brett had told everybody he wasn't going to cry, and so they're all like, you're a loser! Loser!
All of them in Boston accents.
You loser.
Loser.
I love it. Josh, you lost your winner pick.
I did. It was a good run. It was a good run.
Final five. Who did you move on to?
There's only two options. It's either David or Adam, and the decision is basically, do you think David can make it to Final Tribal Council? I do not think so. I think if you look as far as challenges go, it's basically just, David against everyone else. Yes, you could make the argument that Ken is out there and could bring him to the end, but Adam has just as good of a chance of winning immunity as David, and then you just have Hannah and potentially Ken on his side too. So I went with Adam.
Okay. Well, you got it right.
Congrats. You made it there.
Yay.
All right, final four. Adam is hilariously baffled by Hannah's play, just like how I was hilariously baffled by Josh's best player in the last episode. It was very similar. But yeah, just hilarious how Adam's like, that was such a dumb move.
And Hannah tries to justify it with, if I take out David, then, I can't work with anyone. Like, I don't even understand right now what her reasoning was, because it just did not make sense. Like, it made sense to her in the moment, but I still think that she was just trying to talk herself into a move so that she had her name on it.
Yeah. Immunity challenge. It's the one where you have to stack cups on a wobbly tower. And Adam's going to do the same thing he did earlier in the season, where he is going to play defensively. Ken and Hannah are ahead of him. He is going to hold the line as David tries to catch up. And, Ken or Hannah fall, he can still win. But he's not going to go for the win. He's just going to play for safety, make David lose. It works. Ken and Hannah end up going to a tiebreaker and have to do a showdown. And Ken wins immunity, but Adam does it again. I love this strat from him.
Right. And what's funny, when I think all the way through Survivor history, the closest moment I can think of that relates to this is something like Richard Hatch in season 1, where he's willingly losing the challenge to serve a larger means to the end. And he's now been able to do it twice sensibly, where it made a lot of sense to do exactly what he did when he did it, and publicly, where there's no denying it at Final Tribal. You bring it up, yeah, I was willing to lose to make sure that the right target for everyone did not win.
I love it. I'm a huge fan.
And I don't think you mentioned it, but it was like especially windy out during the challenge. So it wasn't just like, oh, these guys aren't able to get up that high. Like, no, I think they need to get to like 13 or 15 or something like that as far as like cups go. And they can only get up to like 8 or 9. So I think Adam was realizing like no one's going to get here. At some point, the one's going to knock someone down, whether it's now or in a couple of cups. So I like where I'm at. I'm just going to sit here. So
hold the line.
Yep.
Hannah is finally on board with getting rid of David.
She's arrived.
Finally. So Hannah's going to go to work on convincing Ken. But David, he's going to go to Ken and be like, man, I just trust you so much that I'm not even worried. I just have that much trust in you. You're a good guy. You're good. And you play so loyally and honestly and with so much integrity. You're great, Ken. You're the best. It's not going to work, but I love the
This is all you can do. It's literally it. Like, I don't question you.
This is all you can do, and this I think just backs up the reason why this was such a bad move by Hannah last episode, because if you do get into this situation where David doesn't win immunity, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that Ken is going to vote with you to get him out, and then you go to fire making and David might be able to win fire making. So
and he 100% would have.
So it's just I think that makes it just so much more inexcusable about the move that was just made.
The Final Four fire-making twist is going to get implemented in season 35. And, big discussion. This kind of came from this season because I think Jeff was pretty disappointed because David's going to get voted out here. And I think Jeff was very disappointed in that. And I think that's kind of the genesis of the fire-making challenge, to give someone like David a chance. Because if they had done Final Four fire-making here, Adams come out and said, like, David was smoked me in like 10 seconds. Because David is an incredible fire-maker, apparently. So, yeah.
Now, if fire-making was in place and it wasn't a surprise or anything, I think, the argument could be made that David would have been taken out by now.
Sure.
We wouldn't have gotten cute with the Sunday vote and a Brett vote, but ask Hannah if she still wants to do that. But, Jeff, just putting fire making in doesn't just solve this.
At Tribal Council, David is going to throw loyalty paint all over Ken, basically pointing out like, Ken, he's just so loyal. He's true to his word this whole season. He's just great. It's like, oh, you just burned Ken's game. If Ken, you just screwed Ken completely because if you vote David out, you're not loyal, and if you go to the end with David, you ain't winning. Brutal move from David, but I love it.
See, and I know that you can say it and frame it like that. I almost want to wait until Final Tribal to talk about Ken's game, because I think it's reductive to say that David is torching Ken's game by saying, man, he's just such a loyal guy. If he votes me out here, he's not loyal.
But he doesn't say that. It's implied.
I know. But like, you're reducing it to, he's so loyal. He's gonna keep me. That's his game. That's who Ken is.
But that's what David is doing.
I understand that's what he's doing, but I don't think it actually sways the jury at all.
No, but it just, no matter, it makes Ken look worse. Like, yes. Hey, if you vote me out, you look really bad.
I agree it makes him look worse, but I think there's something deeper here that maybe we're not seeing. I'm not positive. I don't know. I don't know.
I agree with Derek.
Let's wait until Final Tribal, I think.
It's deeper than that. And as long as Ken can explain his game and explain that it's intentional, and then it's not just all, the loyalty card or whatever, and that, you need to take David out, I think that there's room here. It's not like David is tanking Ken's game or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's still room there, but he's absolutely pouring fuel all over Ken's game and lighting him up.
He's trying to, put him in a corner. It's up to Ken to get himself out of that.
Yeah, he's poo-pooing him. He's not torching him.
No, he's torching him. It is going to be 3 votes for David, 1 vote for Adam. Yeah.
And this is the right move for everybody, including Ken.
Yes. Ken lost a long time ago.
Exactly. You can't torch someone's game who lost a long time ago.
You can just set a corpse on fire.
Fine. So David's been reduced to desecration.
Yes.
Oh, anyway, we'll talk more about this, I think.
Josh, you got for best player?
I had Ken. Did he already lose the game? Yes. Did he make the right move? Yes. Did he go against, the nature of his entire game up until this point? Yes. Which can, Hail Mary chance, could get you some respect points from the jury that you played this big loyal game, but you still made the correct move in the end to show that you are more than just that player. So that's why I gave it to Ken and immunity.
I gave mine to Adam because of his strategy in the immunity challenge to stop Dave from winning.
I gave it to Ken. I know his game already lost, but he needed to vote out David to even have a semblance of a chance. They played the same game. You can't go to the end with the person who played the same game better than you. But again, there's more to talk about here that I think we can get into in Final Tribal Council.
For worst player, I have none.
I have none.
Same.
I lost my winner pick, though. David goes out here, so I move on to Adam, because duh.
Yeah.
But David's going to play again. Do we want to see it?
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Full shizzle. I love David.
Yes.
He was fantastic on this season, so
Yeah.
I'm super on board for that. Okay, Final Tribal Council. I don't think we need to go through every question because there's a lot of, repetitiveness. But, just kind of broad strokes, what is brought up. Ken doesn't get a lot of chance to talk, but he does get one really good question from Jessica because she's kind of critical of him for turning on David at the Final Four. Like, oh, you gave up on your loyalty game, but he is going to give the perfect answer. David is his number 2 ally. His number 1 is his daughter. And so that's who he's playing this game for. And that's the perfect answer. It's not going to get him the win, but it is 100% the perfect answer. That's what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Will, on the other hand, is like, Ken, I have no respect for your game until day 38. Good job voting out David.
That is not the way that he worded it.
Yeah, I know. But I think there's a little bit of salt there because Will is still a little salty at Ken.
Yes, a little bit, but I think it was much more like, hey, like, be proud of that move. And, like, you're defending it. Yeah, but, like, it's, like, be just as proud of that as you are about being loyal in this game, like, because it does mean a lot.
I still think he didn't like the loyalty and integrity stuff. Like, I don't want to hear about that. I want to, that was a great move, but I don't want to hear about your loyalty and integrity crap anymore, which is kind of how I feel most of the time, too.
I agree that Ryan feels like that. I don't. That's why we're talking about Ken here. So, like, you said he lost a long time ago. To me, this is the perfect example of, like, a power duo where one person is seen as being the figurehead of all of it. Ken is the definition of a coat rider, and just because you slayed the person wearing the coat at the end does not mean that you get to absorb all of David's power. So I think the reason that even slaying David at the end, doing the hard thing, being disloyal or whatever it is, the problem was he was riding coattails. David was always in the crosshairs. David put himself in the crosshairs, I think partially on purpose because he knew he was down 19-1 swinging for the fences, found himself up 25-19 and realized, oh, hey, we got to play defense. So I still think a loyal integrity game can win, but Ken's version of it in this season cannot because of who was painted as the target, and Ken never took an opportunity to seize that target and say, I'm somebody who's also worth voting out. I am a threat. So I just wanted to say that about Ken's game.
And for the record, I don't think a loyalty and integrity game can win anymore. I just don't think that person can get there and own it. Like, you have to betray somebody. And then that all goes out the window. So,
I mean, you could win immunity all the way to the end.
I guess.
I do think that Ken's game needed a lot more respect. It was actually kind of bothering me because it seemed like people just completely disregarded his game. And I think that through, whatever season this is, 33, it's possible that he played the best loyalty and integrity game just out of anyone. Because usually it's a more arrogant, flawed game, and they're not actually being super loyal. And they're saying that they are, but then there's all these other things that are going on, and they're just not really self-aware of what their game looks like. I think Ken is, and he did it so effectively and did it with a good social game too. He had a couple of flubs. Yes, there were a couple of times where he just made some baffling decisions. Like the whole Will thing was insane, but just in general, I thought that this approach at least was done very effectively. It's just not gonna win you the game with this cast.
He says he plays a very old school style game, and Jervis said something very similar in Blood versus Water in that Final Trouble Council, and Aris criticized him. He's like, that's just like failure to adapt. And I don't know how big of a survivor Ken was, but I think I agree with Aris about both Jervis and Ken.
I get where you're coming from. Ken's going to get no votes.
Yep.
He deserved David's vote because Ken saved David's behind when David had no legs to stand on.
Adam played a better game. David votes for the person who played the best game.
I think that David voting for Ken would be validation. Thank you for playing with me and giving me a chance. Ken deserved second place, not a tie for second place.
I think Ken deserves second place.
I think Hannah deserves second place. Actually, I take that back. They deserved a tie. They both deserve 0 votes. I take it back. They both deserve 0 votes. They deserve a tie for second. What happened is exactly what should have happened. Because the rest of the tribal council is really kind of bickering between Hannah and Adam. You know, Hannah's going to try and own her Brett and Sunday moves, and I think she does a good job of trying to own them. I think she was very confident in this Final Trouble Council.
I liked Hannah a lot.
Almost a little too confident. I thought that she jumped in too much. I don't mind people jumping in, once or twice, but it seemed like every single time that Adam was trying to answer something, she had to jump in either in the middle of him talking or at the end just to get the last word and defend herself. Again, once or twice, I don't hate doing that just so that people have more context, but it just seemed like it was every single time.
But yeah, basically she's going to try to own these moves, and Adam's just kind of like, they were bad moves though. But I think my favorite moment is, so Brett's going to ask Adam for just more information about what happened from the Sunday vote on. And people are asking Adam, like, you made a lot of mistakes. Like, talk to us about that. And he's like, yeah, I did. I learned from them and tried to do better. But some of those moments where like the blunders happen, I was left out of a vote or something like that, that wasn't my mistake. Those were my allies' mistakes. And my biggest blunder was assuming my allies would make smart moves. Damn. Dab.
Which you want to play into a jury's ego a little bit. That's kind of a way to kind of finesse your way in. Like, look, guys, I know you needed to go, but not when you left. I'm not mad that you got voted out. I'm mad at when you got voted out. It doesn't make any sense. And everyone's like, you know what? Yeah. I don't like when I got voted out either. We should rabble.
This one cracks me up. Chris is going to give a stump speech for Adam and basically praises him for convincing Ken to flip on David. Which is hilarious. I wonder how Chris felt watching this live. Because first of all, Ken's like, nobody convinced me of anything. And if someone did, it was Hannah. It's not Adam.
And this was part of it where I'm like, Ken deserves a little bit more credit because no one convinced Ken to do this. Ken did it on his own, like as far as we saw, and it almost felt similar to like the whole Will situation. It's just like, sure, Will, this was your move, okay. And it just seemed like they're just complete disregard and just like, no, Ken, you don't really exist and you didn't have any agency or decision making. Like, you are so one-dimensional that I'm not even gonna like respect you sitting there. And it kind of annoyed me.
I think Zeke kind of sums it up where it's like, Ken, you didn't do anything to evolve the game, which I do think is fair. If that's what you're looking for, I don't think Ken pushed the game forward at all, where Hannah and Adam tried to, at least. Failure, success, that's up for debate. So I think that was just part of what was going on in the minds of most of the jurors. But the last one is David. He asks how the game changed them. And Hannah and Ken both like say that, it helped them grow and overcome anxiety and fear and stuff like that. But this is where Adam says, like, it's not about me, it's about my family, just trying to bring joy to my family. And then he reveals, his mom's got cancer. Yeah. Oof. Goddamn. Adam wins 10 zip.
I wonder if Adam was planning on mentioning his mom in Final Tribal, or if he was just like, nah, this feels right. Gonna talk about it.
Not sure. I
do remember, because I think we watched this together live. I don't remember, but like after Adam said that, and then I think it went to commercial or something, and someone was just like, well, Adam just won the game. That's all I remember from Tribal.
I don't remember who said that, but that does sound familiar.
Sounds like you.
It kind of sounds like me too. It even sounds a little like you, Josh. A little like Michael. It sounds like anyone.
Yeah, remember that this was 2016 or 15?
Yeah. 2016. Guys, who do we have voted for?
Adam.
I think Adam is the pretty easy vote here. I really wish I could take a deeper dive into why Ken pulled Zip. It might play into the fact that he has some of those social anxieties that he talked about. Maybe he wasn't connecting with people as well socially out there, and he was a little more reclusive. I'm really curious to know that. But that said, Adam, to me, very clearly played the most complete game. Flawed, but complete. And I think in this group of three, that's more than enough to earn my vote.
I agree completely. So Adam will play again. Do we want to see it?
Always.
Sure.
Anytime. I love Adam. He can play anytime he wants, as far as I'm concerned.
And because of how flawed his game was, I would expect him actually to play better the second time around. Now, are you going to be treated differently as a winner? Of course. But just as far as the approach to the game, I would hope that he would play with fewer flaws.
I also think returners would be very, very, very careful with him. They're like, this guy will flip. Not because there's malice, and he'll, like, if I ever become a big threat, this guy's going to whack-a-mole me right out of the game.
Reunion show. So Adam and his mom actually made it pretty far into casting for San Juan del Sur. So this was a big dream for their family. But Adam was going to be on the show, and then they got the diagnosis, and everything was going on with his mom. And, you know, they offered him, like, we can come back next year. You can be on 35 or 36. Don't know which one. But Adam's mom made him go. It was like, no, you need to go do this. And then we're going to find out, you know, Adam gets home, and she dies an hour after he gets home. And, like, oh, my God. I'm trying not to tear up right now thinking about it. Wow. I don't know what else to say except wow.
Yeah, he said she waited for me. And it's a very emotionally poignant way to kind of round out that story. Because again, we saw the same, or we saw the cut to card from All Stars that Jenna got home in time to see her loved one, but she wouldn't have had she won that game. She would have missed that.
Yeah.
So you can't write this stuff. It wouldn't be believable in a Hollywood movie. It would make you tear up, but it wouldn't be believable. Yeah. But this is how it happened. Great story.
And Adam even, you know, mentioned, like, because he's just fighting to get through, like, explaining the story. He's like, you know, I know that this seems like, you know, a great story and everything, but this is still my life. Like, I'm still, like, this is real for me. Like, I'm going through this, like, you know, from just someone looking at this, like, and how, like, the story of, like, is involved with the game. It's amazing, but it's also terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It sums up life right there.
It's an inspiring story.
Yeah,
is what it is.
It's tragic, but yes. It is beautiful. Yeah, you can't write stuff like this.
And he told his mom that he won.
Yeah, he had to tell his mom he won. He knew he won, and then she went. That's nuts, man. On a lighter note, Figgy and Taylor are no longer together.
And I did not remember this, but Taylor is a dad.
Yeah, so Taylor, I don't know if they'd broken up or what the deal was, but Taylor had, like, a kind of girlfriend when he went out there. So, oopsie poopsie.
Well, and based on the timing, if he was a dad, was she pregnant when he went out there?
Maybe. I don't know. Possibly, though.
It feels like the timing would work out that way, but we'll not start rumors here.
Figtails is no more.
Figtails is long gone.
Jeff is going to try to get us all hyped up for Game Changers. And at the time, I was. But anybody who has not seen Game Changers, do not get hyped. Do not.
Well, and I'm going to harken back to one of our 1-star reviews over on Apple Podcasts. But when Jeff shouts, "She voted out her mom!" I was like, oh, that's why we say it the way we do.
And that is a common phrase in the Survivor community, so I don't care if anyone gets mad about that one.
Yeah, that was a pretty silly 1-star review. Everyone's opinion's valid, but some are more valid than others.
Sure.
Subjective lived experience.
There is such a thing as a dumb opinion. But that is Millennials versus Gen X, so let's wrap this season up, shall we?
Yes.
Best player of the season. As a reminder, we only count the people who make the merge. So from Michelle onward, best player of the season. Derek, who do you have?
Race, neck and neck. I mean, it's David and Adam to me, but Adam is the one who makes it across the finish line because David, kind of in the middle of all of this, forgot about threat management and was able to crawl himself out of that hole quite a bit. But everybody ended up gunning for him eventually, except for Hannah, and you can't always count on Hannah being around. I'm going to give it to Adam, but by mere inches. Mere inches, and if you say David, I respect that.
I am gonna give it to David. I actually don't really feel great about it. It doesn't help. Like if Adam was just a little less flawed, just a little less flawed, I would give it to him. But he also just made a lot of mistakes along the way. David's big flaw is what Derek said, threat management. He should have been gone at 8. I know how much Ryan will just, champion David and his social game. No.
Hmm.
No, this was other people playing poorly, specifically Hannah. And
Both can be true.
but both can be true, but one can be a lot more influential. People's bad decision making is much more influential, in my opinion. I'm still gonna give it to David, but that was much more noticeable this time around. That's like, I actually don't think that David is like an amazing player. I think that he got really lucky this season.
I think David's social game is pretty fantastic, so I'm giving it to David.
Low-key funny moment of the season was Adam saying, David has played a game so much better than everyone else. Like, we're here and he's here. And then David's like, Merp, and he lifts his arm up more like I'm up here.
Love it. Love it.
Now, was this moments before disaster for him? Yes, but like, I love how he burned that midnight oil on the way out.
Worst player of the season, Josh, who do you got?
Same as the pre-merge. It's Taylor.
It is Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor.
Everybody else, decent players. Promise they have great qualities to good qualities. Taylor had like nothing.
We have been so harsh. And like, Hannah, I want to see Hannah play again. Desperately. Pretty much bring almost anybody from the season back. Almost anybody. You don't need to bring back Taylor. You don't need to bring back like Cece. But like, I would take almost anybody. They all tried. They all played very flawed games, but tell me not that they didn't try. Taylor, he didn't really try.
Not as much.
So, yeah, it's Taylor.
Jeff Watch. Anything you got?
I felt like he greatly enjoyed this season as I was going through. I felt like he got annoyed at one point when it came to the revote situation, and I was talking to you about it during the finale, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm just getting weird vibes from Jeff here. So there's just that moment. Otherwise, I think it's pretty clear he loved David. We're going to change the game format because of the Fallen Angel situation.
Yep.
So that I wanted to mention that for Jeff Watch.
Weather report.
Big storm evacuation. I think there was one rainstorm in the post-merge. So if they would not have evacuated, Survivor would have been canceled forever. Because that tree landed on that shelter. That is how this began.
All right. Most memorable moment of the season. Josh, memorability correspondent. In the pre-merge, we had Michaela's blind side as the most memorable moment of the pre-merge. So first off, what is the most memorable moment of the post-merge? And does it beat Michaela's blind side?
Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot of memorable moments. The few that I marked down here as far as nominees, you have Brett and Zeke's conversation. That is definitely one that I remember. I actually remembered them being more like on the beach rather than being at a reward for some reason. But that's definitely one that came to mind. You have the rock draw and Jessica going home. And then I also had Adam and Jay in the hammock. So those are my nominations. Were there any that you guys think I missed?
The only other one, I wouldn't say this is my favorite, but I think a good nomination is Jay playing the fake idol and like the realization. But my number one is Adam and Jay in the hammock.
Yeah, Adam and Jay in the hammock is my representation of Adam's story with his mother and their family's battle with cancer, which is just this incredibly poetic moment. So like wrap it all into one. When I think about that storyline, I don't think about the hammock as much as I think of him saying that he made it home an hour before she passed away. I think that's what I think about most when I think about that story. But like watching it live, that moment between Jay and Adam, I will like champion that as like a most memorable, as representative.
Yeah, it was hard for all of Adam's moments just because you have the loved ones visit, you have the reunion show, you have Final Tribal Council. So like there's just all these different moments, and they're all the same, but also different at the same time, just situationally. So I felt like it was kind of hard to like pick out just like one. The hammock I thought was at least the most memorable moment, just because it's the first time that he revealed this to someone, and you had Jay's reaction, which was great. It's really between that and the rock draw for me. It's a toss up, honestly, between the two of them. I think I'm gonna go with the hammock though.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were going to go with the rock draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because it was such an important part of the whole like storyline. And if you think about like Millennials versus Gen X, oh, cool. Who was, if you don't remember, who was the winner for that? Oh, Adam. It's like, oh yeah, Adam's storyline. And then you just kind of like run through those moments versus like jumping straight to Jessica going home because of rocks. That's gonna be the next thing I think of. But I think the very first thing would be something within Adam's story.
Now, does that beat Michaela's Blindside, or is
Yeah,
Michaela's Blindside?
a worthy opponent in the pre-merge there. It's a great moment, but yes, it is, I think, more memorable.
Okay. Last thing we got to do, guys, is our season rankings. I've been greatly looking forward to this. I'm very curious to see where yours have ended up. You have not told me yours. I did tell Derek where mine ended up just because I had to.
Loser.
Yep. But I do not know where you guys put yours. I'll go first because I got mine ready. It's my number one. Slam dunk number one. My favorite season of Survivor. I don't know if it can ever get beat. But from that point on, it's Cagayan, Cambodia, Philippines, Blood versus Water, Palau, Pearl Islands, Koh Rong, Tocantins, Vanuatu, Micronesia, China, Borneo, San Juan del Sur, South Pacific, the Amazon, Fiji, Guatemala, Panama, Samoa, Africa, the Australian Outback, Gabon, Marquesas, Nicaragua, Heroes vs. Villains, Caramoan, Worlds Apart, Cook Islands, All-Stars, Thailand, One World, Redemption Island.
I'll go next. Starting at number 1, Survivor 28 Cagayan. I am not going to dethrone it, however, coming up on deck. Survivor 33, Millennials versus Gen X. I knew I remembered it fondly. It deserves its place here. And again, even though Cagayan is my favorite, if I'm recommending one season of Survivor, if you're only going to watch one, this is the one that I'm going to tell you to watch. Because it's got such a beautiful, poetic story. And it has flawed gameplay, but it also has some good gameplay, and it teaches you a lot of lessons. So Cagayan, Millennials versus Gen X, followed by Micronesia, Koh Rong, Cambodia, China, Palau, Heroes versus Villains, Blood versus Water, Philippines, Tocantins, Pearl Island, South Pacific, Amazon, Vanuatu, Guatemala, Australia, Nicaragua, Fiji, Panama, Borneo, San Juan del Sur, Gabon, Africa, Cook Islands, Worlds Apart, One World, Caramoan, Samoa, All-Stars, Marquesas, Redemption Island, and Thailand.
All right. From the top, number 1, still going to be Cagayan. Number 2, China. Number 3, Millennials versus Gen X. And I knew for sure it was going to be in the top 5. It's just kind of like where it fell within there. I think that Derek's completely right that I think that this would be the one that I would recommend to someone who hasn't watched any Survivor. And I think above Cagayan, even. That used to be my answer, but I think this would be number 1 as far as what to start on. Followed by, in 4th in my rankings, Cambodia Second Chances, Pearl Islands, Micronesia Fans versus Favorites, Heroes versus Villains, Blood versus Water, Tocantins, Palau, Amazon, Vanuatu, Philippines, Koh Rong, Borneo, Australia, South Pacific, Guatemala, Fiji, Panama, Africa, Samoa, Cook Islands, Nicaragua, San Juan del Sur, Gabon, Marquesas, Worlds Apart, Fans versus Favorite 2, One World, All-Stars, Redemption Island, and Thailand.
All right. I'm so happy. I didn't think I was going to get number 1 from either of you, but I'm 2 and 3. I'm so happy about that. Yeah, such an amazing season.
Well earned, well deserved.
Well earned, well deserved. Yeah, I can't wait. When we finish the rewind, we're going to do a ranking episode, a Castaway Consultants official ranking episode based on averages, which is going to be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of rewinds, that does it for Millennials versus Gen X. Thank you for hanging with us, for those of you who made it this far.
Longest podcast ever.
Yeah, I think this might be the longest one. We'll see in the edit, but this could be the longest one we've ever done. Next time you hear from us, Game Changers is up next, but we're going to do kind of a special... It'll be a 3-episode run over Game Changers. The first episode, we're going to go over the cast, talk about whether or not they're Game Changers or not, because it's a controversial list. And what I want to do is all 3 of us, we're going to come in with our, kind of like what we did for season 50, our Dream 50 cast, our Game Changers cast. Who would we put on Game Changers? So that is the homework for next time. The next episode will be us talking about that. So 20 people, who are the Game Changers? You know, I guess you can do what you want. I'm not going to pick anyone from Borneo because that doesn't make sense to me, because that was just game 1. How does it change after that? I suppose if you guys want to, you can, but I'm not going to do Borneo. But apart from that, go nuts.
I have no idea what I'm going to do.
So yeah, we got 2 weeks to do that one. In the meantime, social media.
Yeah, you can follow us basically everywhere at Castaway Pod. If you're into our videos, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok is Castaway Consultants. We have a website, which is thecastawayconsultants.com. We haven't really shouted it out in a while, but please go give us a rating, 5 stars preferably. We'll read it on the podcast if you actually leave us a written review as well. Much appreciated.
And on Spotify, go ahead and engage with this episode. We got fired up over who should have flipped on who during the rock draw of this episode. Weigh in. No comments, Ryan. I know you desperately.
I have no comments.
So weigh in on that. But lastly, just shouting out in general, because it was a theme of the season. Anyone out there who has had cancer affect their lives in one way or another, that is something that I think all of humanity can come together on. That it's one of the hardest. I know there are many out there, but shed a light on that. We do lose Sunday to cancer a few years down the road. She was friends with my aunt and uncle. So that is something that hits only a few degrees away from me personally. But again, everyone knows someone who's fought a battle with cancer, and whether they came out victorious or ended up succumbing, those people will be in my thoughts in one way or another as we sort of celebrate the closing of this chapter of the Survivor Rewind series.
F cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, anything else you want to talk about at length? I feel like we can just keep going for a little bit longer. Did we miss anything?
No, I think we've covered everything. Love the players, love the cast. All seem like pretty excellent people, with maybe an exception. So if anyone's listening, don't take our criticisms too harshly, but I'm excited to move on.
Now, Derek, I know you want to get home to your wife and kid.
Yep.
And Josh, you all take care. But I'd like to continue this podcast. I'm just kidding. Let's get the hell out of here. This has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.